We have one category left.
We do.
And it is best looking game.
These weeks flew by.
Yep.
Yeah, really.
Just burned right through this thing. I don't even remember what half of the...
I mean, it was controversial to say we're not naming a game of the year and ending it here, but I think that's the right move.
2017 does not deserve a game of the year.
It's been a really good year. It was really good.
Oh, boy.
For video games.
Bad for everything.
Let me clarify. Yes.
What are we up to?
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's got really dark.
What are
all of
we
a
up
sudden.
to?
I don't know.
Okay.
I caught myself... This is like, what, end of November when we're recording this?
Very tail end.
I caught myself thinking, I wonder what the world will be like by the time these podcasts go up.
Oh, God.
In like 3
Worst.
weeks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Vinny.
At this
If it
pace,
still
all
exists.
these deliberations will be lost to time like tears and rain.
And it really threw me for a loop.
Not in the I wonder if there'll be flying cars when I get my driver's license.
Will there be anyone left to listen to a podcast?
In a year in which it's been stuff to think about or play video games frequently, let's talk about the best looking video games.
I think it's been easy to play video games.
There have
been
been a fantastic year. There have been some great looking video games this year.
I would argue is the best time to be playing video games.
I can't agree. But here we go. Star Wars Battlefront 2, Cuphead, Horizon Zero Dawn, Super Mario Odyssey, Tekken 7, Assassin's Creed Origins, Pyre, What Remains of Edith Finch, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, Resident Evil 7, The Evil Within 2, Absolver, Night in the Woods, Mario and Rabbids? Mario plus Rabbids?
We'll just say Mario and Rabbids.
Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battles. Destiny 2. I see Dead Cells in brackets.
But
Who put that in there?
That's an early access game.
What?
It's a cool looking game. It could be a great looking early access game.
It's a cool looking game.
It's an honor just to be nominated.
Dead Cells is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Uncharted The Lost Legacy, Hollow Knight, Injustice 2, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Dream Daddy, Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2,
Yeah.
Sundered. That's what we've got on this list.
Are we forgetting anything?
Probably.
Meaningful here?
My first thought was, we got to be forgetting something.
I didn't hear Nier in this category.
I think Nier is not very good looking.
Thank you.
I think
there's some great art design in that game. There's also some of the levels or some of the environment
It's
design.
more of a
Yeah.
style.
Some of the
That is a
environments,
style
some of the
category
environments
looking.
look flat out terrible.
I mean, Yoko
Yeah.
Taro has said this is not a great looking video game, so I feel like we can maybe axe it from this category.
He's wrong. As that offline MMO look of like.
I thought about Yakuza Zero also for this, but like having seen Yakuza 6 in action, I honestly like that game still feels like it's running on a PS3 engine, even if it is a very pretty version of that. I don't think it belongs here.
Splatoon 2, anyone?
Oh.
It looks so much
Might
like the
have more
first
similar to
one.
the
Yeah.
first one. I think it looks very good. I think it looks great.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
But I also think it maybe is better for best style.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Sonic Mania.
I was thinking about that. I like the way that looks.
It looks really good.
It looks like
wags
it's
that
a Sonic
finger.
game.
It looks
It's a hell of a
really
title
good.
screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good title screen.
A lot of frames per second.
A lot of finger wagging.
A lot of frames in there.
Are we,
All these games look pretty good.
I mean,
Knack 2, anyone?
Nah, it's all right.
I think all the games that are on here are absolutely qualified.
Yeah.
Forza 7?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, right. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. I almost thought about Gran Turismo Sport, but having seen both those games in action,
Yeah.
it looks good, but I don't know
Yes.
if it definitely wouldn't win best looking game.
What a weird world now where Gran Turismo has a game come out and like I've heard no one talk about it really.
It
used
wasn't
to
a
be
very
like,
good Gran Turismo.
It used to be like the biggest thing around 2, 3, 4.
This is a very different game.
Right, it's the sport
not
thing.
yeah.
But still, like, when was the last actual Gran Turismo that was a
6
big
was
deal?
a PS3 game. You could drive on the moon.
That's right, yeah. It was years ago, though, right?
Yeah. That was a PS3 game.
Yeah.
Should we just roll with what we got here?
We can get rid of Guilty Gear. I think it's unfair.
Isn't that
it's
just
on
an
there
expanded
because
version of the previous?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still like the best looking game of all time.
Yes.
Okay.
No, totally.
Right.
Well, when we do best looking game of the generation,
Right.
Yeah.
it'll get its props.
Okay, cool.
I'll take off Sundered because I wanted to at least mention the animation on the bosses and the characters and stuff looks really, really cool, but the whole package, like the environments and stuff, is not quite as interesting. But like Benny, you saw that huge boss in the chair when we were doing the quick look. It looks really awesome. But
We can take off Evil Within 2. It does some really, really cool stuff with the environment. Like the world is just constantly being torn apart and ripped into pieces, and there's weird, like, what's the Cthulhu guy? God, his name's
Cthulhu.
No, the
Lovecraft?
Lovecraftian monsters and stuff that all look really cool, but it just doesn't. It's nothing new.
It doesn't measure up necessarily to this other stuff.
I would say you can maybe take off Dream Daddy. I think it does look very good. I think design-wise is very good, but it's maybe better suited for best style.
Sure.
They make them daddies look real dreamy.
They are very dreamy.
And
it looks good.
It's a
the
cute
design
art
is
style.
cool.
Like, I dig it.
Everybody looks cool. A lot of cool clothes.
As much as I love Zelda, I don't know if it hangs with some of the other ones on here.
Yeah.
I'm not quite ready to cut it, but I
I love the
Yeah.
art style.
I think there are aspects that look very cool. When you
Yeah,
see like
totally.
the whole like environment, like sitting on hills is really
And the
spectacular.
dragons the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like seeing like your breath and like your skin.
It's also a very
good pinker in the cold.
It's a very cohesive art style.
Yeah.
Like
Even all the
across board.
dungeons.
Yeah.
I don't want to get rid of it yet.
All right, let's not get rid of it yet.
Does anybody want Super Mario Odyssey?
I think that game looks
It
awesome.
looks-
I would take that over Zelda.
Yeah.
I would maybe take the
I would
same.
take that over Zelda as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
I don't know that it is top 3 either. But
definitely, yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's
Really?
definitely.
that over Zelda.
It is one of the most
Yeah.
polished video games I've ever seen.
I actually don't agree at all in terms of art style. I think the art style in that game is a little too all over the place.
I mean, it's
I
different.
appreciate
That's
how
the difference.
all over
Yeah.
the place it is.
Yeah, that's the
I
thing.
don't.
though,
I
is-
don't. It doesn't read as coherent to me.
I think that's intentional. It's
Yeah.
all these different zones, and when you start seeing people from one zone hang out in another, it becomes clear that it's like this is a really rich world where people are so all these creatures are really different. Like if you go to the food world after you beat it,
Yeah.
and everyone's there having a massive party, and you just see like new donkers next to
the food. The like that's the Luncheon Kingdom. It looks amazing. I think like that is a fantastic looking level, but other levels in that game just flat out don't look that great.
There are some that just look like they came from a completely different kind of
Yes.
game.
But I think
And
it's
they
cool
look
when
generic.
When
Like,
like a
that's-
photorealistic dragon, like
Well, then that's one of the good
dragon's fine.
examples.
The dragon is
I
fine.
thought that was amazing.
The dragon
Yeah.
is fine, but what you said is exactly my problem with it. Like, not only does it look like it came from another game, but it looks like it came from a generic video
Like
game.
the Underwater Kingdom, I thought was
Yeah.
kind of boring.
Like
And
the
I like
forest,
that
I
one.
forget what
the
it's
forest one. Yeah,
the Forest Kingdom looks like. I was like, this looks like it could have come from any random third person.
That's the one that has maybe the best song. But
the
it's-
song
The
is-
music is incredible.
I actually really like that because it ends up giving it such a different look from what you expect from a Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just here's the volcano
It's
level,
like
here's the ice
it
level.
feels more like Mario
Where's the ice
fucking
level?
going everywhere.
Like I'm all I'm all about subverting expectations. I just don't think they did it well.
Do you think it's maybe better suited for best style? Because I think it is a very much a
No.
style choice to have all these sort of kind of looks
Maybe.
that don't necessarily go together and sort of finding a way to make them look.
I think
good.
that's
I honestly don't think
antithesis of a style.
I don't think it'll make it into that category
Really?
either because of how
Wow.
strong that
Style
category will probably
is kind
be.
of a
but-
weird, misleading title. It's kind of.
Okay.
I think best swagger is another another
Okay.
name for that.
Okay.
Think about
coolest as shit game.
like Odyssey definitely has Mario style.
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
need to leave Odyssey for now.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
think about like all the facial expressions and
Yeah.
stuff. You do the photo mode and you zoom in,
Yeah.
and you see how
Looks
expressive
good.
he is, and his nose has
Oh
physics.
my gosh!
Bowser's
I know, the
hair.
photo mode is-
Bowser's
Yeah.
hair.
And even in like
Yeah.
the pause screen, when you see like
Yeah,
Mario's
like,
faces,
yeah.
he's like stretching his hair. It looks great.
Yeah, it does.
We don't have to take it off right now, but there's a lot of stuff on
There
here.
is a lot of
There
stuff
is.
on here. I think we can take. Personally, I think we can probably eliminate Mario and Rabbids.
Yeah.
It's the animation in that game. Like I think that is really where it shines. There's so many weird little like supplemental animations that you see just from characters like idling or just tripping, like fucking rabbits just constantly tripping over themselves and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very clean. It's very cool. But the world design is very just like
yeah.
cute and blocky, and it's
Yeah.
not really anything like super special.
I do like some of their mashup stuff of the Rabbids and
Yeah, the character
Mars.
design is very good.
It's very cool. But yeah, I think there's other stuff that would
Yep.
Yeah.
That is stronger.
go ahead of it.
So Uncharted Lost Legacy looks incredible. Obviously, I wouldn't say it's a big step above Uncharted 4.
I agree with you, but I think Uncharted 4 is still maybe the best looking game ever made.
I mean,
so
yeah.
to say that it is on the same
Yeah,
level
right.
as that,
It is.
Right.
especially for
That like
something that.
nightlife stuff looked real fucking good.
And especially for
Yeah.
something that debuted at $40, that I thought like, oh, they put the B team on this. It's not going to be that
No, it's
impressive.
good.
That game is good.
Also, a lot of the stuff you climb on in that game really impressed me. Like,
Really?
Like the part where you like kind of stumble over the mountain range and you see the ancient city.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And like you see the giant statues off in the distance, and then you end up climbing around their
Yeah,
fingers.
that's
Like,
true. Yeah.
Actually, some of those palaces and stuff, I
Yeah.
forget like how detailed. It looked fucking
it looks
awesome.
so cool.
I am as tired as anybody of the climbing stuff in Uncharted, but they found interesting things. For me.
Yeah.
Like, things that I would not have expected to climb on ended up being climbable.
It
And
looked
it's-
good, and also the photo mode is really fun.
Yeah.
You have all the like
Yeah.
face
Yeah, yeah.
animation stuff. That game is looks very good.
That train part at the end, that's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, that game's cool.
That game's good.
It's really good.
When you fight in Tekken, the longer the rounds go, the sweatier the guys get. And it looks really good.
Wow. It does this cool slow motion zoom in.
Yeah, I love that.
And
that's pretty good.
There are moments in that game where, like in the story mode, where it's like replaying, showing past cutscenes from other Tekken games.
Where Jack explodes
mid-fight. And yeah,
really?
Tekken 7 is really good.
Tekken 7 is quite good.
It's cool.
Maybe that stuff is not best looking.
No,
at the end of the day, you still fall, and they do the back thing. They did not replace that animation, which some people want that
Good
there every
on them
time.
for not
No,
doing it. Yes.
I think
good on them.
I think it's the best looking 3D fighting game ever.
Wow.
I'm kind of with you.
Yeah,
I'm kind of with you.
But
Even over Guilty Gear?
3D fight. Not polygonal 3D, but like you mean like 3D.
like
3D.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I still don't think, compared to a lot of these other games, it makes it.
Yeah.
It's just very good.
Yeah,
Even against like Injustice.
Yeah, I
which
thought
is just,
Injustice looked.
Some of the
Injustice
facial
looks
stuff
incredible.
is like there's
Yeah.
some like uncanny valley stuff going on. It looks that good.
Okay.
It's really really impressive between particle effects, backgrounds, animation. Like those characters look fucking awesome.
There's so much
Yeah.
going on in that game. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
the environments are really cool.
Injustice 2 is a really good like the HDR stuff,
Yep.
like the
Yeah,
lighting and stuff. Like it's a very dark game in a way that you don't expect.
like the one in front of the movie theater, like that stage. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought that game. I haven't even played it, and I just think it looks amazing.
it's cool.
I don't love their treatment of a lot of those characters. Like some of the suits are a little too bulky and mechanical and metally looking for me.
Like which characters? I haven't seen.
I haven't
all of
played
them.
enough of it to like. That's just my kind of general memory and impression of it.
I think their take on DC aesthetic has never been my favorite
Yeah,
thing.
that's
It's more
right.
the
That's what I
detail and and also like you said, the animation and like the world design around it. But I'm with you. I think that they bulk those characters out way too much.
Some of it reminds me a little bit of like Schumacher era Batman.
Sure.
Oh boy.
In a way
Not
that
enough neon.
that I don't love.
Yeah.
The good era. Yeah.
Yeah.
Batman at his best.
Yeah, I do really like how Injustice 2 looks. I guess I just don't know.
if it's going to make it.
I would take Tekken over it.
Yeah, I would also
too.
take Tekken
Yeah.
over it.
Oh man, I don't know.
I mean, they're both great looking games. That's maybe just I have more of a slightly of a Tekken preference in general.
Yeah,
Same here.
I know,
Yeah.
but
Injustice,
It looks great.
Those two games look great in slightly different ways.
Yes.
You know, Injustice 2.
sucks that it's got to be one or the other.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be.
It doesn't
but-
have to be, but there's a lot of
Yeah,
other
I don't think in top three.
I honestly don't think it's either of them.
Yeah, when it gets down to it, no. There's a lot of good looking games here.
Okay, well, we can come back to Injustice 2. How about? I don't like how Hollow Knight looks.
I don't either.
I don't
either.
either.
I don't like that art style
at all.
one bit.
Jeez.
Nope.
I'm okay.
I like it.
Who put it on?
I did.
Do you guys want to counter argue?
I like how it looks, but I don't think it's going to make it to the top 3.
I think for me it was surprising. Like I wasn't really expecting anything out of that game when I went into it, and I was kind of surprised how taken I was with the character design and the kind of hand drawn art style. But I mean, that was why I put it on here. Was more it's like, hey, this was a neat thing that I didn't expect anything from, and I kind of really like the visual aesthetic of that game a lot.
I think
I
it looks.
also really
looks
like
okay.
it. I love
Yeah,
the
I like it
bugs.
too.
I like the character design a lot.
I thought,
But
the lead, like
it's
the
all
lead character,
samey.
and and then some of the other enemies you fight that are like the more major enemies have that similar look. But I didn't
I
like
guess
the look
that's
of the
what you're
bugs.
It looks like a Newgrounds game.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I can't.
It does. Looking like alien
At
hominids
times,
and stuff.
at
Yeah.
times
behind
there's a
that.
little bit of that.
Yeah.
Alien Hominid's a pretty good looking game.
I know, but when it just makes me think of like free
Flash animation.
games.
I get where you're coming.
Yeah.
That I don't know. That medium has evolved to a point where I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
That has
That's just what I thought of when I saw the game.
saying
knock it
something
off.
saying something looks like a Flash game has always seemed super dismissive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like the look. I think it's pretty.
It's
and
not
I
top
think,
3.
I agree it's not top 3, but I do really like it.
I like it.
think it holds up. I think it looks good.
Yeah, I like
I
the
would
Dark Souls.
rather
bugs.
see this
Yeah.
in like a style category. I
Sure.
guess. I think there's better examples of like hand drawn animation out there.
Especially this year.
Dan brought up Sundered. That's a good looking game, right?
Or Cuphead.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just going to
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna hang.
no.
Yeah.
I don't like the look of it.
I don't know that Wolfenstein belongs here.
I don't think it does.
It looks good,
There are
but
things
that's like a more artistic than technical
kind of
side of things. Where you like
but even then, I think back on the levels in that game, and like I don't have a strong impression.
if it was best looking cutscenes, it would definitely be in there. But that's just one component of this.
I think the one really cool looking area is when you're like in America and you're like walking
That's-
around.
yeah.
That's cool. You get to see like, oh, this is how America looks
Right.
when
Like
it's
Roswell.
Yeah, let me
Yeah.
actually.
The one-
let me
But
think about that.
that's really the only moment. That
there's
I'm
a
like,
lot of detail there, and yeah, that's a really
Yeah.
nice looking.
My
sequence.
But
one-
that's just a sequence.
I think the
in a
weapons
game.
look really good. Like the weapons
Yeah.
are like rendered really
I
well.
don't like them. I
really?
think it like I
I
look
like
at that and it just that screams to me like generic like we're gonna make a thing where there's weird Nazi tech. And I feel like that thing, and that is what it is.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's been done a lot now.
Yeah.
You know,
The other thing with what you were talking about with like kind of the more you get up close and personal with that world, like you start to see the seams a little more.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
watching the scenes from a bit of a distance, like it's pretty cool. But like when you get close, like the voice syncing is always way off on the mouths, and like sometimes characters don't animate
Oh
very
god,
well.
the dead eyes on a lot of the NPCs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's. I think, like I said, the cutscenes are incredibly well rendered, but like the in-game stuff is maybe a little flat.
It doesn't look bad. It's not a bad.
No, absolutely
It's not a
not.
bad looking
Yeah.
game. I
It's
just
a
don't-
well-made game.
I just don't think it's top 3.
There are
Yeah.
lengthy parts like in New York when it's all bombed out where it's just bland.
Yeah.
It's just
and
like,
also hard to like know where you're going.
Yeah.
I know the
Yeah.
navigation is bad.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'd say take it off.
All of what you were saying is exactly how I feel about Assassin's Creed Origins. I think it's like in cutscenes it looks good. I think the landscapes and the stuff,
The world design
pyramids
is
look-
amazing.
it's-
Yeah.
but on like if you like on a micro level, it's not
On a micro
the same.
level, they're still using the same character face animations from like 4 games ago,
Yeah.
and blown up that much, even in like 4K HDR, whatever. Like, it's a little funky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a hard time finding a good-looking thing about Assassin's Creed.
The pyramids look real good.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, it's the little details in the world where I think that thing really shines. Like just looking up, any given fucking set piece in that game, like looks amazing. It's just the character
But yeah,
stuff
I
that
do
kind
not
of falls
think
flat.
it's one of the best looking games of the year.
Sure.
I think Horizon is really good looking.
Yes,
It is.
Yes,
It's a damn good looking game.
that is like the go-to if you want to show like a 4K TV on
Yeah,
PlayStation
it's
It was.
Pro.
That's when I got all my stuff. Was right around the time that
Yeah,
game
yeah.
was coming out, and it was one of the first things I saw in 4K, and it was like a really good showpiece for that thing at the time.
There are parts of that game where I'm not on an HDR TV and I go like, man, I bet that looks really good in HDR. Like the nighttime stuff in particular
Yeah.
seems like it was designed with that in mind.
Yeah, there's some really. That's another like they just added a photo mode to that not that long ago, right?
You can do
Yeah.
the facial expressions
Yeah.
and snow angels.
I feel like it's one of the few games that comes up against like the Naughty Dog kind of like you guys are like hitting this.
I don't think it quite has that level of polish.
I don't know if
but
it has, but it's like rubbing up against
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
see what
it's
you
in the
mean.
neighborhood.
I think Hellblade does not look that great. I think it's very brown. I think like the animation is good. Like the facial
It's probably the
animations
best
are
character
good.
animation.
dressed
Yeah.
up
Right.
corridors,
But
and
like, it's like dark. It's brown. It's.
I think
I feel like I've seen it in a lot of other games. I don't think it's doing anything that new aside from the facial animations.
which are amazing.
Yes.
They're
to be
very
fair.
good. Yes.
yeah, the world is kind of boring, but yeah, when it zooms in
Yeah.
on her face, it's like holy shit.
And even when it's like, oh, we're gonna go into this hellscape world where it should be more vibrant, it's just like, well, now it's just all red. It's all
I
brown.
think it's tonally really appropriate that it's not more vibrant.
Sure, but like if I'm gonna talk about the best looking game, a big brown world is not doing it for me.
It's my favorite Primus song.
Yeah,
I wasn't super impressed by what I saw from that game.
I was impressed. I was impressed with the character stuff.
I think the
Yeah,
mocap
totally.
is
the character is very good.
The main character performance is second to none.
and
But
I think like the world stuff, like, I don't know, like kind of just suits what they're going for.
Yeah.
Right.
But like so, like I think their focus was on the character stuff. And they kinda nailed-
Absolutely. And I think it works well and
Yeah.
it like does a good job with the game, but I think when you're comparing it to other games that look well inside it or look great inside and out and also have good character animations that maybe aren't as good as this game, I don't think it's as well suited in this category.
I want to leave it for now.
Yeah, I don't feel overly strong about it one way or
Let's
the
cut it Resident Evil 7.
yeah, I mean that's a good looking Resident Evil game, but
Throw it on the fire.
that's fine. Like I was suitably impressed with what they did with that game.
Yeah,
The perspective shift stuff and just like the character design and stuff is really good. And they definitely nailed that sort of like creepy backwoods aesthetic very well.
Yeah.
It's got
but
weird teeth in that game.
yeah, a lot of weird teeth in that game.
oh yeah,
I know most people don't care, but I have to give it up for a big budget game like that runs at 60 FPS.
Yeah.
Like
that's fair.
is not
I have to give it up for
not
like
something you see very often.
one of the reasons to get like a PSVR.
That's
Or,
still
like,
my favorite VR experience.
It sounds like it is mostly like everybody's like kind of like main console game that was able to do it.
Yeah, totally.
It's amazing.
And
on
it'll
VR.
never come again because Sony's not going to pay anybody else to do that.
Which good on them. That's like a technical feat.
Absolver's got really good style. I like the minimalist approach. I think the world looks really good, like really cohesive.
It definitely has a good art style.
Yeah, it's really cool just being able to see something like way off in the distance and you can actually go there. It's really cool and
like really good animations, really good.
Yeah, totally.
But,
real good style. But I don't think it's going to hang too long in here. Okay. Sorry, Absolver. See ya.
I don't know that I much care for the way What Remains of Edith Finch looks. Like it's got to go a very cohesive style, but it didn't really do it for me.
I think my defense of that is that on a technical level, it looks very good, but the incohesiveness of the art style is in a way kind of like the way they patch it together is actually kind of awesome.
It's fitting and makes sense. But
it suits the game, it suits the story, but I think I didn't walk away being like, what a beautiful looking game.
There's
just so much in every room. Like I liked stopping and like looking at all the little like hints of like what their life was like. Each family member. Like I thought it was.
In each of those like little vignettes, it feels like its own little painting. You know, and I don't know. Like there are a couple of moments in that game where I found myself like kind of holding my breath a little bit while I was just watching what was going down. Like that part where you're on the swing and you know what's coming and it just keeps building and you can hear the wind sweat. I don't know. Just everything about the visuals of that really kind of hit me. But.
It definitely is a very rich world.
Yeah. But is it top 3? Maybe not.
Probably not, but I think it looks great.
Yeah, that's a really cool game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That game's really good.
I really, really like the character design of Night in the Woods. I like how the houses look. I like all that stuff, but it's not, to me, anything revolutionary. It's
Oh, no, sorry, go on. Finish.
No, please, go ahead.
For me, it's a couple of things. It is definitely the character design and kind of the overall design of the world. It's a lot of the little subtle animation in that game kind of hit me, and it's like for me, it's honestly a lot of it's shot composition, like the way each scene is kind of framed. Like each one of those looks like a highlight screenshot that you would kind of put out for that game. Like it's a lot of different scenes that all kind of stood out to me visually, but. I mean, it's not doing anything overly impressive from a technical perspective, I realize, but I don't know, like, just all of that game's aesthetic kind of hit me the right way.
Yeah, I agree. I think the aesthetic perfectly matches the story. I think it really suits what they're going for. I also think it feels like something that hasn't necessarily been done a million times before. I know it's, sort of a simplistic art style, but it doesn't, like, in the same way that sort of Hollow Knight kind of can feel like other art styles. I don't feel like this one does in the same way at all.
That's true. But I'd say that in my mind, I'd lump all that stuff together with just the tone of the writing and all the other stuff, and it becomes more of a style contender than a best looking contender. Like,
I think that's fair.
I do like the art in that game, but it's separated from the rest of it. I feel like it's just it's some nice looking stuff, but nothing too far beyond that.
Like if we're gonna go to bat for hand drawn art in games this year, I would probably fight harder for Cuphead and Pyre than I would Night in the Woods.
No, that's totally fair. Yeah.
How do you feel about Pyre?
I like Pyre.
I think Pyre
Or what were you
looks
gonna say?
fire.
looks
I would just say
incredible.
for Night in the Woods, I think there's also like color palette and like 70s stuff that is actually really well done.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
The
and
game
like
does
the
have
dream
very good.
sequences.
Yeah, like I think that there's a real artistic vision there that you guys are talking about cohesive stuff that has that is not accidental. That is
Yes,
like
absolutely.
I chose these very particularly that I think all complement and work together. That I really like about Night in the Woods. But yeah, there's some other stuff on here that might be better suited to this category.
Yeah. I'm okay with letting it go. I wanted to make my fight.
Yeah.
yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot, but yeah.
Pyre, man.
That is the best art that Supergiant has done so far.
I'm a little torn because fucking Supergiant's art is. I don't use the phrase God tier very often, but like it's fucking best in the industry.
Yeah.
And that's
It's still
That's what they do.
as good as I haven't finished it. I played like 5 hours of it. It's what I've seen is as good as anything.
all the
they've done.
character portraits are great. The animation on the wagon I think is great and fun.
I like the cartoony way it bounces around and
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know if I love the style on that scenery,
overworld.
though.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
It's a little busy and kind of oversaturated.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
agree.
It's maybe just a taste thing.
Yeah, I think it suits maybe the style of the game a bit, but it also feels like maybe too much at times and too much a little like the wagons kind of just like plopped in this sort of backdrop that they painted.
Yeah.
Those backdrops are gorgeous.
I kind of like them. I like when it goes over the horizon on the map.
Totally.
Yeah.
I like the way it's presented.
It makes the game feel like they're putting on a show.
a little bit.
I really like the color. Like they really really good color composition.
Absolutely, and I think the presentation of it feels like it works for the most part. I like the inside of the wagon. I think it's fun. I like how it fills up with all
that static art stuff is like
Falcon Round shop
fantastic.
Yeah. And and it is like the character art from top to bottom is really, it ranges from really interesting to just awesome.
It probably doesn't fit this category, but the moment that the wagon imp shows up in his uniform for the first time.
Yep.
Oh, right,
Like,
yeah.
maybe it's not a best looking thing, but
No.
it's one of my favorite things.
Also, I think the animations on the 3D stuff are great.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Like during the rights, you mean?
Yeah.
Like it's no
There's
slouch
like motion graphic-y animation stuff.
just
in the middle of the sport.
Yeah,
that
just
stuff
how-
looks fantastic.
Just how it looks. I mean, it's no slouch there on the other side. I don't think that stuff like is mind blowing, but like looks good.
It all feels like it's part of a greater whole and it all works together well.
Like a lot of those like dunking animations are like kind of satisfying.
Yeah, totally.
when they're
totally.
like spinning around and diving.
And everyone moves in a different way.
Yeah. Like the lumbering.
Yeah.
I think that stuff is well done. It's a pretty good looking game.
It's beautiful.
All right. Okay, so I think Destiny 2 is a pretty good looking game.
Yeah.
How is it? What do you guys? What do Destiny people think?
I think it's art style for me that carries that thing.
Yeah.
Is it?
I mean, it was like technically,
fucking
especially like when
beautiful.
you look on the PC, and you get the frame rate out of it too. Like it's fine on console, but when you get the frame rate out of it on a PC and the higher resolution is when I think the technical end of it starts to pop as well.
Yeah.
Is the variety there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
there
think
are
it
4
looks-
distinctive like factions
So
slash cultures
I
going
played
on
a
there.
decent amount or not a decent amount. I played. We talked about it before. Destiny 1.
Yeah.
And it seems like stuff is different
From the first game.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean,
it's a lot of the same enemies.
yeah.
But it did seem like a
So-
lot of the same enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all the costumes and stuff are geared different, right? For your
Yeah, that's all
players.
different.
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would say there's just a couple of things that knock it for me. One, I don't love the environment design in that game, like the different planet stuff. Like I think that it can be beautiful, but like most of the time it didn't. Like I never found myself like stopping and just like staring at it. Like the exception is in the town when you see the fucking traveler off in the distance or whatever. It's like, that's a great fucking
best skybox.
best skybox. But like,
it's Bungie and Skybox.
but the actual environment design has just never really super done it for me in those games.
I think there's a split between the open zones and the contained, like the strikes.
Yeah.
The strikes in the raid, the place where they like control your sight lines and they really put a lot of thought into how
Like,
things are framed, are like fucking mind blowing.
The moment at the very end of the campaign when you're running and the sun is like
Yeah.
right there.
Dude,
that's one of the best looking moments of
like-
video games ever for me.
Absolutely,
Like,
I could not agree more.
but
Like,
it's a shame because that happens once for like a couple minutes, and I mean that's not a huge knock against it, but I would have liked a bit more variety like that.
Yeah, I like
there's
that.
a
Like,
fair amount of that stuff.
was it
but-
Titan, the water one?
So that's actually whatever. I don't want to.
That's
like oil rigs.
Yeah, what's
Titan.
Yeah.
Titan is the.
I didn't mind that.
I thought the water looked really
like
great.
Titan a lot.
That's actually like my least favorite part.
Oh,
of the
really?
game.
I mean, the actual area where you're running around fighting like is just kind of boring.
Yeah, it's super.
I like the
boring and-
underground, like Cthulhu, like like weird growing things coming out of.
I'm with
walls
you,
and
but
stuff.
in the first game, those alien cathedrals were like hollowed out of the moon. Like you were on the moon
Sure,
with that stuff.
but-
Now it's just a fucking oil rig. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just how pervasive the hive has been.
I guess.
Also, running through some of the tunnels in the oil rig was pretty cool. I
there's
think.
there's some okay stuff in there.
I've also always really hated the design of the Vex. I just don't think they're cool
really?
looking.
Yeah,
I don't think they're
Dude, they're
interesting.
And like crawling around and they're like, that's
Robots,
the Vex, right?
robots full of weird fluid. Like
I mean, I don't mind the fluid aspect of it. It's just that I think that their like robot designs are busy in a really dumb way and just don't make any fucking sense.
That's how I feel about Horizon Zero Dawn.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
That kind of-
disagree with you on that.
dude, every time you shoot off a fallen's head,
Eh.
it explodes
I
out of his
know.
neck.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. I don't mind that, but
Yeah, there's a lot of Destiny's one of those games where like Borderlands started to do this a little bit, but I feel like Borderlands writing got to a point where it's like, oh, maybe I don't want the answers to this, but like, I would love to know more about the manufacturers of the guns in Destiny and how they like have this kind of cohesive visual style.
Yeah, totally. Like you know a Suros gun when you see it.
Yeah.
Like that's the the Suros guns are the future plasticky looking ones.
Yeah.
And like the Amalon ones
stuff.
use liquid for ammo.
Yeah.
And yeah, totally.
You know what used to do that? Mass Effect.
What was that? I don't remember.
Haven't heard that name in years.
Tell me another tale about the Mass Effect.
Oh God, Grandpa. I do like the way Destiny 2 looks quite a bit. I did not anticipate it making top 3 on this list, given what some of the other stuff that's on here. But now that we're kind of digging into it, actually, the game does look pretty damn good.
I think it's got some highs and it has some lows. Like there are definitely areas in that game that feel not fun.
I think,
or not visually
I
interesting.
think parts of Earth and parts of Titan are both pretty fucking boring.
I think that at some point it is a number of environments sort of thing too, where like those open environments, you spend too much time in them, and you're given the time to really get bored with how they look.
Yeah,
I think that's why I like Titan, because there's something kinetic about the water moving.
Yeah, sure,
everything's
sure.
blowing
And
around.
the rain looks really good there.
Yeah, versus like Earth, where you're going to take
It's like this hollowed out forest that's clearly been built into a video game zone.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's not how real world
versus
ever
like
looks.
that mission with the sun is 15 minutes and then you're
Right.
done with it.
Yeah. And some aspects of it definitely feel as sort of like dead world as the first one did. It's a little better, but it's still like it looks good, but like you can't touch it. You know what I mean?
Also, we haven't talked about Callus's palace. That
looks awesome.
One of the best.
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible.
That's a
looking.
great looking
Yeah.
environment. I will concede that.
I don't know. I got up to the part where you do the dogs, and that part didn't look good.
But what about when you first land and you're like walking up that
yeah.
giant thing and
Locked
you're
up
like
there.
standing there?
How we shot everybody.
Like when you move into the anteroom before his throne room, and it's like full of purple weird shit.
Yes.
And,
It's
like,
really cool.
I did watch the raid after you beat it. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
The kind of reveal after the raid.
Yep.
That was
That was a good little bit.
Oh yeah. And then even just him like falling apart as you kill him looks awesome.
Yeah.
But I think most of the strikes look fantastic. Like the strike inside the biome habitat on Titan.
Yeah, that's a
with
cool
all
area.
the old future like utopia tech in there that's all
right.
dilapidated and
The
fucked
like
up.
mall kind of place.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The Pyramidion, like the kind of Vex pyramid, is all
With the Vex
desaturated.
milk.
But it's all like desaturated, but with these like really bright like lasers and like white
Yeah. Oh, the lasers.
bright lights
So,
and stuff.
yes.
Like it's just
And you
there's
can take
so
your
much.
sparrow down on the platforms if you get it inside the door before you walk in the door. Take your sparrow in there, and then you could just race down those like 3 platforms past everybody.
That's very
Yeah.
fun.
Then you got to get
Can
off
do
before the
that.
lasers.
It's
Like,
a
that's
pro
pretty
tip.
fun. That's true.
That strike with the big rotating drill thing. That looks really cool.
Oh yeah,
Ma-
that
let's-
drill fucking sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
Let's maybe not cut Destiny 2 yet.
Yeah.
No, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if Destiny 2 has best art, but it definitely has most art.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many different places and types of designs in that game.
I think Battlefront 2 is a great looking game, but I can't say that it really struck me as being like light years.
It's a straight up
years beyond.
it's a technical.
Yeah, that's best graphics technical.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
they're not a galaxy far, far
Like
away.
this is when the Oscars cut to the ceremony for the technical awards from 2 weeks ago.
I'd say we can cut that. I mean, it looks really good.
Okay,
It looks like Star Wars.
Is there
looks good.
is there like new stuff in there that fits in as a Star Wars aesthetic, or is it mostly just taken from the
Darth
Star Wars
Vader.
universe? Okay, who's that? That's a weird new character to name.
That's
Yeah.
It's a really
Kylo
dumb name.
Ren's dad or something.
They fucked up Han Solo's face.
Because I do feel like at a technical front, it is a game that seems to do it very well. But like they are just mostly using
Star Wars stuff.
designs that
It
were
is
made.
just very faithful,
Yeah.
high fidelity reproductions of
I mean,
existing.
there-
I think like the cutscenes in the campaign and stuff like that, like the facial animation there, which they're like that campaign, that story, it's really like every chance they get, she's taking her helmet off so that they can remind you, like, hey, this is someone you may have seen before, and also the lips and face animate really well.
Yeah.
No other character in the game animates this well, but this is good, right?
Yeah.
So,
like not even like the Star Wars heroes.
oh, definitely not
Oh,
them because
no,
they're not
no.
based on a real person.
They really
Or
fucked up Han Solo's face. I cannot emphasize that enough.
the likenesses of the
Pull up Han Solo.
Luke looks good.
You say maybe they get them in
I
the
don't think
studio
Luke
for
looks good.
like mocap or performance capture.
yeah.
He looks more like non-holo.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, the beard Han Solo is really something.
Oh, no.
It ain't right.
No thanks, I'm good.
He looks better in that dancing game.
The Connect Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right? It's that game is a hell of
Truest
a
likeness.
technical accaccomplishment.
Yeah.
but,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm not trying to
but I don't-
disparage it. I'm
No,
just
No,
saying
no,
that's
no.
fine.
I'm
Like-
saying it deserves that, but I don't know if that's enough.
It's bad.
it looks like they put
Bad.
Nolan North in a Han Solo wig.
All right, should I cut?
Cut it.
Sure. All right.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fine.
I mean, it looks really cool when you're flying around like a super Star Destroyer.
Yeah,
like, that stuff looks
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
But they're kind of leveraging Star Wars stuff, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of the same stuff. Well, not a lot of the same exact stuff, but stuff that they did well in the previous game.
It wowed
Where,
me a lot
the
more in the first
terrain
one.
looks awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
But it looked awesome in Battlefield 1 last year. It looked awesome in Battlefront 1.
Frostbite's a
the
hell
year
of an
before that.
engine.
Like, yeah, Frostbite. When you're doing the thing with Frostbite that it was built to do, it fucking gives you a great looking game.
Yeah. It wowed me the first time around. This time, it's just like, all right, this is what I expected.
Yeah,
this to look
fair
like.
enough. I would have thought that game would have hung, but yeah, now that we're talking about it, I see. Yeah.
I still think
I mean, we
it's
can put it
amazing
back.
looking. Yeah, I still think it's an amazing.
I just
looking
control
game.
Z'd it back on the
Oh
list.
wow, look at you.
Eh.
So what do we take?
I don't
off
think it
here?
needs to be there, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we saying Cuphead should be on this list?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that's
pretty
Yes,
definitive.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, Cuphead is a game I turn on to show like
Yes.
family that doesn't
Yes.
play
I
games.
insisted that my girlfriend sit
Yeah,
down the
that's-
first time I
that's-
played it, and I was like, "You have to see."
I did the
this.
same thing. It was like, like, come in here and look at this thing.
Yeah, like,
I've done
So
that.
good.
I remember the first time I saw it was when they were doing like a sizzle reel of all the individual
Yeah,
games
yeah,
on
that
Xbox,
was
and
the
they showed like
thing.
3 seconds of it. I was like, what the fuck was that?
Like it
that
was
looked
like
awesome.
people were
record
talking about.
scratch.
Yeah.
and like very much like you can't play that, right? That's not the playable
Right.
part.
Yeah, it looks incredible.
It looks so good every step of the way, and like every level looks different and looks
Yep.
amazing. And like you have the like 3D background worlds that
yeah.
look so
Yeah,
cool, and
yeah.
it all looks just like what they're trying to emulate too, which is just
It's so faithful to
exactly.
Yeah.
It just does it so well.
And there's so many bosses with so much specific animation.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Like all the transitions of bosses
Oh my God.
transforming forms looks like flawless.
Yeah.
And
It's so cohesive.
you get
Not
to
that
see a
it's
lot of
like
them
relevant at all,
over
but
and
when
over
we
again.
had those guys in here, like I was fucking blown away to find out that they did not conceive of that game as, hey, let's make a game that looks like a 30s cartoon. Like they
Oh,
just
really?
wanted to make a Mega Man or Contra style action game, and they didn't know what it would look like, and
my God.
they came to the style like after the fact.
Crazy.
So for them to nail it that hard, after,
They really
It'd be pretty
did.
hilarious if they still didn't know that. Like, well, I thought this was an original thing that was just
we
going to
made
go
this-
for. We just didn't have really good audio equipment,
Yeah.
and it just all kind of sounded weird.
like that
weird.
shouldn't factor in. It's just kind of amazing. that
It
they were
is.
I mean,
as faithful as they were.
It should factor in the sense that like not only did they nail it, but they did it in such a way that like it plays with modern game technology in the sense that like that is, a game that runs incredibly well. And I mean, most of that animation was probably running at what, like 21 frames a second back in the day, and they make that shit look right running it. I assume is 60 or whatever, but like. Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
just kind of amazing.
plus, it spawned a lot of really good art. That
Yeah, like really good
Yeah,
art.
Dan, do you want to see it again?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Make it your
Stop
wallpaper.
looking at your weird Cuphead porno.
No HR violations,
I'm
please.
inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the cutscenes look good too. Of like the dad like leaning out through the black bars is so good. It's a good game.
Yeah.
King Dice.
King Dice is great.
King Dice.
when he's like rubbing his hand, when you're on the roulette table and he's like rubbing his hands and the dice comes out.
Sorry, that's Mr. King Dice.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
That's my father's name.
Oh, he's the meanest of the land.
I think out of these, I don't know that Injustice 2 or Destiny 2 are going to hold up against the rest of these.
Dude.
Did we talk about Forza yet?
And honestly, Zelda probably as well.
I don't think Zelda makes
Yeah,
it.
I
don't- I
like
don't think
Zelda a
Zelda
lot,
makes it.
but I would be fine losing Zelda.
Like all these games look really, really good.
Yeah.
I think yeah.
I
If
thought
we're
we
gonna
got rid
lose
of
Zelda,
Battlefront.
Zelda, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, if we're gonna lose Zelda, I think we could probably also lose Mario.
No.
Like I like Mario. but
No. It's
I feel
way
like,
better.
I feel like
Yeah.
Zelda's really held back by its origins on the Wii
Yes.
U.
Yes.
Like it's just it
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like lets down the technical end of the bargain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a great
But
art
it's,
style.
but it's super evocative,
Yeah,
Like if
yeah.
you just like position the camera just right and then just,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, that sounds like that's cut.
Yeah, okay.
I thought we got rid of Battlefront.
yeah.
thought
What
we did
happened?
too.
Went back on.
Okay,
I don't think
Show
it
that-
should be.
that Han Solo again.
It's a bad beard.
Yeah, I think we can probably.
Are we wait, Forza is on here.
Yeah,
We-
Forza's on here.
Yeah.
Those are great looking cars.
Probably the best looking cars I've seen in a console video game.
Yeah, probably the best looking cars that have been in a video game.
That's saying
And the
something.
environments
Damn.
and stuff like that, the weather effects, the stuff they're doing with physics, like, hey, those cars have never looked better. Also, I would say this is Forza Motorsport 7.
Yeah, they've had some time.
6 also looked really good. Forza Horizon 3 looked really good. Like they're they're definitely building on a legacy in a way that I think. Well, what I would say about all of Forza 7 this year is that you know exactly what it is. You know, the expectation stuff, diminishing returns,
I think,
absolutely
is where they're getting with it.
And I think it that's like a best graphics technical, like maybe even more so than Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
I would say Forza makes me want to cut Battlefront 2 from this list
and keep
they're,
Forza.
They're kind of the same.
Yeah,
they're cut from the same cloth.
They are. Yeah.
I would also emphasize that like if you have an Xbox One X and all the fucking bells and whistles on your TV, like that shit is showing through a lot more than you do if you're just playing on a regular Xbox One.
It's also a PC game.
Yeah,
keep in mind it'll run damn good on a PC.
I'm just saying anyone who has an Xbox One and is not playing it on the X with the extra stuff, like I can't say that game really seemed like way better than 6. Just like looking at them back to back, like it felt very much like, this is like a standard build on what they did in 6.
I mean, that's Battlefront as well.
Yeah.
It looked like the first one.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, it sounds like we're going to cut it, but they kept showing that Dubai track all over the place.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, that shit looks fucking incredible. And then we did that quick look, and I was like, all right, show me all the other tracks that look as cool as Dubai, and like there kind of aren't any.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah,
like Dubai is definitely the showpiece.
Yeah,
it's just
awesome.
it's just because like they're constrained by recreating a bunch of real world tracks that just have like some manicured grass around the edges and a stadium, like some bleachers.
Like some of those environments are there, and they're very they seem
faithful.
very true to life and faithful and whatnot. But that's less interesting.
Like rain looks pretty good.
Yeah, the weather, the rain stuff
the
looks incredible.
Do look fucking amazing.
Does it feel like a real world, or do they feel like set pieces?
Well, this rain looks pretty good.
It is real world, like they're modeling real world racetracks.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
And
they're
doing
like,
it really well.
They're kind of held back by reality. Reality's boring.
Yeah, and that's maybe also my thing with this game is that they're too close to reality, and at some point that constrains what you can do year in year out.
Also, we did our due diligence on those crowds.
Yes, the crowd's maybe not amazing looking.
Yeah.
Better than they have been.
They've definitely gotten better, but
all right, cut Forza. I'm cutting Forza.
Then cut Forza, cut Battlefront.
Wait,
I still think we
for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, if we're cutting Forza, we're definitely cutting Battlefront.
Okay. Okay. Vinny,
What?
You sure? You're okay with this?
He looked at Han Solo and I saw him shaking his head earlier. So.
I looked at Han Solo and was shaking my head. I think, like if we had a best graphics strictly technical, these things would still be up there.
I feel like Dice's shooter would walk away with that award every year. If we did it that way.
But I also always kind of lean a little bit more towards like artistic interpretation on some stuff. But not to say that Star Wars stuff isn't there. I haven't played enough Star Wars to know if it is just all designed by somebody else and rendered really well here, or that they're original designs, which I suspect they are not original designs.
Well, there are TIE fighters in the thing. Right. They look like TIE fighters.
Yeah,
right.
But there are new environments that did not get ripped out of a movie. Like there's stuff. Like you go to Bespin and the cloud car is there, and you're like, oh yeah, there are clouds. And a cloud car to go with it, sure, why not?
Like some Star Wars games, they get the liberty to like make some new vehicles, and I always
this is not that.
I always appreciate like those guys having to like go through a million checks to be if this new thing can fit into the Star Wars universe.
That was the 90s. Things are different now.
What is Dash's ship? The Outrider?
Dash Rendar. The fucking don't tell me. Hang on. Something
Outrigger? Outrider? Outlander.
Tauntaun.
No idea.
The Tauntaun.
X-Wing.
An at.
The Outrider.
Outrider.
Yeah.
Like imagine getting that thing approved to be like, is this a Star Wars ship?
Yeah.
George? Well, I don't know.
Why don't you name it Darth Fuck Offius?
Name it Ship. Ship. Bad dude.
So we're cutting Battlefront? Where are we?
We should cut Battlefront.
All right.
I would like to keep Cuphead. I would like to keep Horizon Zero Dawn.
No, probably.
It looks really good.
It looks good.
Probably.
It looks good. I don't think it necessarily brings a whole lot that's like new, aside from like technical looking good. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a world that's like, wow, I want to explore this because I've never seen this in a video game before.
I had that about some of the character, like the dinosaur stuff.
I do think
I really do not like how the robots look. They look super over designed, like the modern Transformers.
I don't think they're as bad
don't say
as
that.
No, I don't totally.
I can see it.
So as soon as he said that, it broke beyond Horizon.
It's just not
week
true.
or
I don't
whatever.
think they're that bad though.
They're not that bad.
They're not that bad.
I mean, again,
but-
these are all good-looking games.
Yeah.
Nothing is that bad.
They are reminiscent of it.
It's too much.
What I mean is, I don't think that's inherently a bad thing.
I don't think
Have you seen
You
Optimus
take that
Prime's
back,
lips?
yes.
Yes,
That's a bad thing.
Yes, and those Transformers are terrible, but I don't
this
think
is not that.
It's-
Yeah, like look, it's just like pieces. I mean, like aesthetically,
distant
it fits.
cousins.
I mean, that works in a game where you are literally shooting pieces off of robots.
No,
Like,
this
you
is
need-
more like
you
this is
need-
more like a original Terminator with pistons and like all sorts of actuators.
Show Vinny that.
Okay, what?
I mean, they kind of look like new Transformers.
No,
No.
I mean, there's a lot going on here.
Like
don't have
fucking Grimlock is having a conversation with that thing.
New Transformers have all like flappy weird bits and stuff that spin around.
no, that's Cuphead.
That's only when they're transforming, though. These are like locked in. I'm
Yeah.
sure if these could transform, they would transform like the new
I
Transformers.
think this is a crazy line of argument.
I think he's onto something.
Seriously.
I think he's onto something.
I think like in a gameplay context, like you need discrete details because you're shooting literal components off of these guys. Like aesthetically,
Sure, and they're
A lot of
like
these-
organically designed.
Yeah,
as well.
yes,
like,
exactly.
They're not meant to
Yeah,
look like clunky robots.
aesthetically, yeah,
I
like
guess.
they're implying like skeleton and musculature and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff
Thank you.
with
Yes.
parts on the robots. Like there is a reason
Oh
for all
yeah,
that detail.
those are the
Okay.
same thing.
We can all agree Transformers are dumb.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah,
I
all-
fucking,
yeah,
I
yes,
fucking
yes.
hate the new Transformers.
the Michael Bay Transformers. Thank you. Yes.
All of them, yeah.
Okay. Not
No,
the Voltron you sent
All
me
of-
and said
all
was a
Transformers.
Transformer.
I got a tape deck coming in the mail that turns into
Yeah.
a robot.
Okay, I've actually made that.
Which one?
Transformed it.
I don't
Yeah.
know how that works.
I think that stuff is also impressive in its detail when they have like herds of those things like running around and like the frame rate keeps up. Like it's a technical kind of achievement. I think Horizon is just a game that I enjoy being in that world visually. Like, I think
That was kind of how I felt about Assassin's Creed. Just saying.
I've made a comparison.
okay.
Oh my god.
What am I? What
That's
am I looking
from
at?
the
Yeah, I can't-
Which one's
which one's the Transformer?
I can't
What's
see
that?
it.
I don't know.
David Wise on the left.
There's just a motion blur on the right. I don't
Like,
know.
dude, the one on the
That's
left.
from the
is-
Transformers
those
movie.
things are. I know. I get that, and those things are not even in the same
So
ballpark.
here's the thing. I see what you're saying. The difference for me is that with the Transformers movies, the designs are so bad that you absolutely cannot tell
Yes.
what you are looking at
Right.
when they are in motion. Whereas in Horizon,
You can tell
even
that
if I don't
it's an animal.
even if I don't love the designs, I never like felt like it was blending in with the background or making the action confusing in any way, shape, or form.
Because you have to target specific spots and such, and
Yeah.
so they're at least designed in a way that makes that stuff pop out enough. Though at times I feel like some of that stuff maybe does get a little lost.
Yeah, I don't. I think I understand what you're saying. I don't think it's as bad as all of that.
I really like all the underground stuff. I really like all the like past tech.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff looks
That ended up
really
being my
fucking
favorite part
good.
of that game, from the like how it looked and even just the information there. I thought was better than most of the rest of
The
it.
land-
Weird. I don't know-
landscapes
I don't know
also
what I'm
look-
looking at here. Jesus, is that Michael
That
Bay?
is a
or-
really cool piece of military
I really
equipment.
can't quite tell what that is.
metal-
I bet it makes a really cool
Is that
sound.
Optimus
That's a
Prime?
weird
It's a
dick
metal-
with
sure,
legs.
it's a
It has a
metal
dick
gear.
laser.
Is that,
I don't know,
Is that
there's-
one of the things that crouches and makes a moo sound and then poops oil?
No,
on the ground?
that's based on a
that's me.
manta ray.
There's so much detail
I do
in it,
that.
I can't tell. It's just
You should be ashamed of your words and deeds.
That thing doesn't have fucking lips, at least.
Yeah, that thing looks cool.
I think we cut
No.
Hellblade.
Metal Gear Rex doesn't look cool.
No.
Yeah.
You sure this one
Fucking
doesn't have
what?
lips?
That one
'Cause
probably
I
does
think-
have that Metal Gear. That Metal Gear has something.
Okay, Sahelanthropus is a weird looking thing. It's pretty cool.
Well, good thing it's
only
not
pretty cool.
Not as cool as Rex.
It's not in consideration for this year.
No.
Or any year.
Ben, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can get rid of Hellblade.
Yeah.
It
Agreed.
again, it is an achievement in the realm of performance capture. I don't know that anything else about it really struck me that way.
It's brown.
I think the presentation of it. I mean, and by that I mean like the way they transition from one environment to another, like motion graphic effects and like camera angles, and like there are no loading screens in that game. It's like a 6 to 8 hour game where you literally play through the entire thing without it ever stopping, without ever like pulling you out of the world. It is incredibly impressive. I mean,
I think it's also impressive. They put their chips in where they needed to for the artwork and performance that is supporting the gameplay, right?
Yeah.
Like you need to see her having this kind of like breakdown and kind of inner struggle, and it conveys. I will say the rest of the stuff, like the guys coming out of the mist to fight you all the time, is
Right.
like just repetitive.
I think it
oh
all.
yeah, totally.
I
The game
think-
has flaws.
I think it all works for the story. I think it looks good, but I don't think it looks better than a lot of these other games.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think it's going to play in this room, but I do think there's like a filmmaker's sensibility to that game that
Well, we got
Me
two
and Dan are
film
film
majors
majors,
right here.
so-
I think so. We have like 2 votes to your 1. I think. Yeah.
Great.
I think the 3 here probably is Cuphead, Horizon, and Uncharted.
I could see. I mean, it's hard to argue anything with
I would
Uncharted.
rather,
As soon as Brad mentioned that, it's incredible looking.
Uncharted is
does.
very good looking game.
Like it's so layered. It's very good looking. I think I would prefer Pyre to Horizon though. I think
too.
Pyre looks so good. I think it brings something newer than what Horizon is doing necessarily.
Does anybody want to argue for Injustice?
I'm using
it's a
that
great
as a
looking game.
bargaining
It's great.
chip.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It's a fantastic looking game.
Okay.
I'd take Mario over Horizon.
I would also take Mario over Horizon, but
I'd take Pyre over Mario.
I would put Pyre and Mario level with each other, and it seems like more people are on Pyre.
I think I would take Pyre over Uncharted just because Uncharted is also just it seems like more of Uncharted, and that's not a bad thing.
In some cases, well, yeah, I mean, it has its own environments and stuff like that, but like the characters, that's the same thing you would say about Destiny
Forza.
2.
I would
Yeah.
say that about Destiny 2.
And that's
It's
what we were
like,
saying
hey,
about Battlefront,
a lot
and
of
that's
that
what we
same-
said
some
about
of the same
Forza.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like no fault to what they've done with Uncharted Lost Legacy. It's just that a little bit of fatigue with me on just the kind of that style.
Yeah,
I will say,
get it.
out of everything I played this year, playing through Lost Legacy a couple weeks ago was the one time where it's like I set the controller down and just like, oh my god, look at this, grab my weapons, like, look at how amazing this looks.
I did that with Injustice a lot.
Yeah,
You guys can cut Injustice if
Yes.
we keep Horizon in.
Uh-oh.
No.
Yeah.
What? I don't
Pass.
think that,
Yeah, okay,
Work
it's okay.
that
I didn't
way?
sign that
I don't
contract.
think it works that way.
I would rather go down the dark path and keep Injustice on,
Yeah.
if that's the option. I think. I don't know.
If we're being held at gunpoint, we'll take Injustice.
We don't have to.
Wow. It's that,
Horizon
it's
does
that
look good.
bad?
I don't know.
I just
Horizon's
think
a fantastic looking game. Like, and that world just completely works. You know?
It does look really good.
God damn.
And I think that and then new stuff looked really good too. The snow.
yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
I just don't
Well, I haven't
respond well
seen
to
it yet,
ultimatums. That's all.
That's fine. But, oh, jeez.
I don't know.
Cuphead Pyre Destiny.
No.
I would drop Destiny for most of this.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
Get out of here.
I could be okay with that.
I like Destiny a lot, but I would rather Uncharted over Destiny.
Yeah.
And I would.
All right, Cuphead
I'd
Pyre.
take Destiny over Uncharted.
So are we cutting Destiny? I guess.
I think so.
It sounds like we can cut Destiny and Mario.
no way.
I think we can
It
cut
hurts me
Destiny.
too, Dan, but
I would
I
probably
just
cut.
got Injustice.
Wow.
Okay.
That's gone.
I would probably cut Destiny and Mario.
People are crazy.
Yep.
Destiny looks awesome.
That fucking
That's-
throne room. What is that purple stuff?
oh, you're right.
What is the purple
No,
stuff?
I'm back on board.
So you don't want to know what
Yeah,
the
It's
purple
not
stuff
even
is.
the
Oh, I
best looking
know.
purple stuff I saw this
Well,
year. I
if you
don't
read
know.
in the grimoire, the purple stuff
Destiny
is-
does look very good.
I think Destiny has more character in its visuals than Horizon
that's
does.
what
Yeah,
it
I,
is.
I agree.
Yeah. That's
I think some of that character kind of sucks, though.
I like that purple stuff. It's fun to walk on. It's fun to jump on.
Another thing I'll say about Destiny 2 is that a lot of the stuff in Destiny 1 that I thought was kind of shitty, like from character design wise, a lot of those characters just got blown up. And there's like, the speaker, don't go back to the speaker and look at the speaker. We blew that up. It's fine.
I like the way those old men looked in those bubbles.
I hate those old men.
I hate the
Gotta
old
punch him-
men.
punch him in the face.
But I like their bubbles.
Oh, those guys, right?
Yeah.
I didn't
that's
like
cool.
the first exotic warlock helmet I got, and it was kind of a shame. That one with like the
Oh, dude,
Vape horns?
Warlocks have the best armor in the game.
Oh,
It's got
Wow.
it had like the antler horns on the
Oh,
top.
I
great.
like the crown thing.
yeah,
oh, it's
it's like the
amazing.
The crown of Sauron.
Yeah, it
looking
looked like
thing.
a crown of Sauron. Yeah,
It's so good.
I love that.
The vape helmet.
The vape
The vape
helmet.
Yeah.
helmet's really good.
But it made up for it with the vape helmet.
Vapor chamber.
Yeah, that was a very cool helmet.
Titans got fucked in that game.
I know. Titan armor fucking
stuff-
sucks in every game.
Except the one that the stomach looks like a big mouth with a glowing
That's pretty
fire
good.
in
That's
it.
pretty good.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
I
good.
have
That's only
that,
good if you
but-
want to have like infinitely reloaded SMGs
Yeah,
or
it's
something.
shitty
though.
armor,
It's
but
like,
it looks kind of cool.
Those tentacle pauldrons, like
I know.
The technical bunch are lame, but the ones that I got, when you put that shader on them, it makes the veins in them glow.
Yeah,
Although one very cool Titan armor is the one from Titan. The astronaut armor is very cool. on the
that's
Titan.
right. That is a good one.
There's some good Titans.
I like how Callus looks like a California raisin mixed with old Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
in Warhammer gear.
Yeah, like that's how he should look.
Yeah,
It's like just
exactly. It's perfect.
Back in Elliot. Yeah.
Yes.
I did like watching you guys shoot the mug out or the cup out of his
Yeah,
hand.
he hates
With
that.
a ding.
Yeah.
Dude, remember when you beat that guy and you go down and there's like 800 more of him on racks?
Yeah,
Oh, that's so awesome.
Maybe Destiny's on this list.
I think
maybe Destiny's on this list.
Dude, what? After the conversation we just
Brad, I
had.
think I'm with you.
I will say I think Destiny looks amazing, but I also think Uncharted looks amazing, and Uncharted feels like you are interacting with that amazing looking world in a
I
way.
can't agree with that. at all.
Really? That I feel like
think
Destiny doesn't.
It's
always
just
do it.
shooting and climbing. I don't
Yeah, I think
it's
Uncharted-
exactly the same.
Yeah, Uncharted
Destiny's
Yeah.
just shooting.
Yeah.
and jumping
but
on
the
stuff. It's
interacting,
the same stuff.
The interacting in Uncharted is very much like here are the places where you interact with the
Right.
cliff. You know, it's
yeah,
not
I
like.
guess that's fair.
They're both very tightly designed games.
Okay.
Whereas Mario, I feel like you're interacting
No,
with
I
the
do.
environment in very dynamic, fun ways.
Yes. Think of all the enemies. Think of all the fucking really cool enemies you've captured. Think about Bowser's castle, the like
Yes.
Japanese inspired.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're selling me on Mario.
I actually
Mario.
thought that was maybe one of the least interesting parts.
I thought it was awesome.
That was the best.
Yeah,
With
I'm kind of
multicolored
with you.
clouds
Like,
and the
yeah.
fireworks and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good like reveal of like
Yeah.
Bowser has a castle, and you're like, all right, go to this dumb fucking castle thing that's probably just going to look like the dumb dragon I just fought.
Yeah.
And then you get there and it's not that at all.
What
I'm like,
the
yeah.
fuck? And then you get a samurai outfit.
I was glad that it was different. I felt like, and maybe it's just because it had been talked up to me, but when I sat there and played through that area, I was just like, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt.
I
about
loved it.
It wasn't my favorite area.
Then you go to a moon wedding.
Conceptually,
That's
yes,
cool.
the moon looks and is incredible in
Yeah.
the game. But like, yeah, conceptually stuff like the castle, like the Japanese, all that stuff, like just
like
looks
fine.
kind of fine.
Yeah,
yes.
I guess I will say I liked
It
it
just looks
initially,
sort of generic.
but then walking
Yeah.
through it, I wish there was a little more richness to
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
There's also a lot of empty space in that
Yes,
game.
yeah.
There's also the Brutals, which I just hate.
Oh,
They're bad characters.
The Brutals are bad.
I'm not big
Brutals
on
are
that.
fine.
Brutals are fine.
They
I thought the
animate
Brutals are
great,
pretty
but
good.
they are bad
Oh, they
characters.
just look bad.
Their faces
They're
are all
great lackeys.
cartoony
They're
weirdos.
lackeys.
They're
They look like things that were left in a hot car or something like that. Like it's just like
Yeah.
you know, bad guys.
like
You don't want lackeys looking good.
Like
But I mean, like the Koopalings looked cool. Oh, don't tell me the Koopalings don't look cool. Several of them have sunglasses.
The Koopalings
One of them has a
did not look
mohawk.
cool.
The Koopalings look super
Koopalings,
cool, and they
no way.
always have.
I feel like I'm on the wrong
Ludwig
side of
von
history now,
Koopa.
voting for Mario.
Koopalings
Koopa
are
Jr.
always
I don't
dumb.
know.
No, they've always been radical.
Dan, we've always known you've been in the tank for Lemmy Koopa.
Lemmy's great. They're all great.
Wendy.
Wendy O's all right.
Ludwig von Koopa.
Ludwig von Koopa's got great hair.
Morton Koopa Jr.
That's the stupidest name, and I
really
love it
dumb.
so much.
Like the fact
no
that
Morton
that aged
Koopa
so
Sr.
well. The fact
yeah.
that there is a Morton Downey Jr. reference in a Mario game is
in
fucking
2017.
insane. It's still
Yeah.
insane.
that's pretty good.
Iggy. Man, they're the coolest. I want to be a Koopaling when I grow
I'm
up.
thinking back on my time with Mario, and like I can come up with like maybe 3 kingdoms that I think look really good,
Yeah.
and the most of them are like fine but not amazing.
Like to me, it's the character detail and
Yeah.
design that's really good. It's
a lot
the
of good character
animation.
stuff.
Yeah, the animation's really good. It's just I think that compared to these other games on this list, I'm not denigrating Mario in general. I think it is a cool looking game. It's probably the best visual showpiece on the Switch right now.
yeah, they work the hell out of that Switch.
Yeah.
hardware.
the best photo mode I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great photo mode.
Yeah.
It's really good. But I don't think it's top 3.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I like
I'm
it
with you.
more than Horizon. I don't like it more than 3 other ones on here that I'm looking
Yeah.
at.
Do we think Pyre will stay on here?
I think
I think
so.
so.
'Cause I really like Pyre, but there's been some good arguments for the other games on here.
I mean, Pyre isn't gonna like
This is
knock you on
rough.
your
This is
ass.
I mean,
this
it
is
might.
hard.
It won't in the same way that like a technical
Yeah.
masterpiece necessarily would, but I think visually it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And each of the characterizations are so good looking, and like it's pretty cohesive and how it does it. Like I think it's a very, very, very good looking.
Agreed,
game.
and it's also like a pretty major escalation from like what they've been building with their last 2 games. Like it is vibrant in a way
Yes.
that even like Bastion and Transistor were definitely not.
Yeah, totally.
Is it really petty of me to? Ah, man, I don't even want to say it. Like I almost this sounds so shitty. I almost feel like I think less of the game because so much of it is just like still art.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
it's a
Yeah.
dumb bias from the days of like the GameSpot Awards where everything was all what is the most technically impressive game.
I mean, I think there's
we just had 2 categories.
Well, I
you
know,
and artistic was a different thing back then than it is now. You know,
I like-
art in games.
I don't think that's unfair. Because,
Even I think it's a stupid opinion, but I keep
I think if you
sort
think
of
it,
subconsciously feeling a bias.
I think if you think it doesn't work, then that's one thing. I think the kind of still the graphic presentation works for it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
In a way that sometimes that stuff doesn't work.
I think
in games.
like I would have preferred that game be animated, but to to have it be animated and keep it at that level of quality seems like it would be really difficult.
Yeah,
Right.
But I definitely felt like at times playing that game was just like, well, a lot of this game is kind of a visual novel, and I'm like kind of not into that.
Like the interior of the wagon looks amazing, but you also see an awful lot of it.
Yeah.
But it also changes.
Yeah.
as you get
it
into
does
stuff.
subtly.
in
Yes.
subtle ways.
I think the animation argument is a valid one, but I think it's also like similar to me of like, should this game be voiced or have fake voices or just be text? In a way, like, does this fit the presentation or what the game's trying to do in a way?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just a choice. I think you can make a choice and have it work really well, better than another choice.
And I think when you look at the moments that are animated more, like during the combat stuff or like the game stuff, it looks very good. all
Yeah,
the
it
same.
plays.
Like
Yeah.
it absolutely
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
holds up. It
Yeah.
looks good. So I think because it's such an intentional choice and because it suits the genre, it suits the gameplay. Like, I don't think that argument necessarily is a knock against it.
Like, I don't know if what would that game look like with 3D models in the
Right.
corner,
So
like
that's not
winking and blinking?
What I want.
Yeah.
I don't.
And since I have only played like 5 hours of it, do you ever see many more environments up close besides like the wagon? Because my memory of that game is like the wagon, the big pulled out shot of the wagon bouncing around the environment, and the sports, and that's it.
You get just the arenas, like the set piece.
That's what I
arenas.
mean. Like they're like if there were more places like the wagon that you see up close with that amount of detail,
Yeah.
I would feel like I had a better sort of memory
I
of
mean,
what
all the characters.
Yeah, I mean, the character art's fantastic. I guess
It's mostly the background arena stuff, which I
Yeah.
think is also beautiful
Right.
in its own right. Like,
I guess that's what it is for me. Is that the story doesn't feel like the story plays out in a lot of different places that are represented visually.
it's more of a map that you happen to
Yeah.
interact with, and
Yeah.
then you get more cutscenes
Yeah.
featuring familiar art.
So it's almost like I was left wanting to see more of a world that was not really there.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I mean that's not
I
an
don't know.
unreasonable criticism by
Yeah.
any stretch.
I'm not saying we should cut it immediately, but
yeah,
it feels like it's a little held back for me.
We do have a pretty rough 6 to work with here. I mean, this is intense.
I feel like personally Uncharted is the weakest on this. Not necessarily on its technical
Right,
prowess,
right,
but like
yeah.
in comparison to it's building off of something that like we had that discussion, but look at compared to these other games. I mean, Destiny is maybe the other one that's close to that, but like yeah, it looks good, but we talked about Forza looks good, but it's building.
Battlefront.
Battlefront looks good,
Yeah.
but it's building.
Yeah, I see
yeah,
what
that's
you're
fair.
coming from.
I think that's fair.
Uncharted is definitely like built on the previous game, which
Yeah.
was incredible looking as well.
On the legacy, if you will.
I could see cutting it.
People should play that game. It's
Yes.
way better.
It's so good.
Like another Uncharted felt so superfluous.
I
and
forgot
it's
about it until
totally
today,
not.
but I'm gonna like go home and download
It's
it.
really
Also,
fun.
it's really
As soon as I get
cheap.
home.
Like it was like $20 over the
I
weekend.
know.
Like it's
It's fun. It's a full game.
yeah, it's
the
like
characters are great. The rating's great. It's fun.
Yeah.
it's like a
game.
10-hour game. It's
I was super
It's
impressed.
impressive.
Yeah. So we were cutting that one.
I think
I
the,
think so.
the ships in Destiny look neat.
Yes.
Yeah, that horseshoe ship.
Yeah, it's cool.
The default ship sucks so much, though.
Oh yeah.
I'll never
but-
change the default.
that's the
ship.
But it's
point.
supposed to be. You're supposed to want to get out of that thing as much as humanly possible.
But like, there's no way for you to push yourself in that direction because it's a cosmetic item.
Yeah.
So it is
Can't like work towards it.
It almost is. Yeah, it's like, hey, this ship is garbage. Maybe buy a
No,
bright.
you
I thought
get them in bright Ingrams.
I thought
You do eventually get a new
And
one
you
by
can
default
buy, there's
yeah.
3 you can buy at
Right,
a
like
shop.
when you-
for dust.
No, the other in like when you go to the garage for the first
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, you can totally buy ships.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
And that's where you get that new one by default.
And also,
right?
you
Okay.
get a new one at like level 10
Yeah, you
or
do,
something
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus
Also,
there's shaders you
what
can
is it
use
even?
on them.
What is it now? I need to see what it looks like.
It's not so great.
it's just
It's
kind of dull.
very average spaceship.
I mean, the default ship in the first game also looked terrible.
I liked it better in the first one.
Yeah.
What about Cuphead Horizon?
Oh, is it just
Fire?
that wedge shape?
Eh.
Like just that triangle?
What about Cuphead Destiny Pyre?
I would be good with Cuphead Destiny
How
Pyre.
about not Pyre?
I'd be good with Cuphead Horizon.
Destiny.
It sounds like Mario is not making it, which
Yeah.
I'm fine with.
Yeah.
Okay, look, this is
It's
it
a
is-
good looking
It is one
It's
of
a
the most
great looking
insanely
game.
polished video games I've ever played.
Yeah.
It is Pixar-like in
Yeah.
its polish,
Yeah.
but
Seeing Nintendo characters and worlds like in that high quality is just really
delightful.
great. And
Yeah.
especially like, taking it on the go. Like I know that doesn't
Yes.
fit into visuals, but
No, it does because like there's always the possibility that game won't perform as well when it's
Right,
running
right.
in the lower res or whatever, and that game runs flawlessly. And when you're
Yeah.
taking it on the go,
There
Yeah.
are games on the Switch that do not translate well.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
There are
Too
games
portable.
that
And
right.
that one probably does.
there is some tiny
there's like
text
slightly
issues on
lower
Skyrim.
draw distance or something is the only difference, right? In
Like
Mario.
I'm
I think it's like a slightly less
I didn't
draw
notice that.
distance.
like
but that's
I'm
it.
like I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 right now, and it looks grimy enough and portable that I kind of don't want to play it. In
Oh,
right.
So like for Mario to go to that screen and hold up is a
And does.
pretty impressive feat.
But I just for me, it just isn't a top 3.
All right.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Well, I like Brad's argument about the art in Pyre, and I think the other 3 would be good.
Wait, what part did you like?
That it just
It's just a bunch of
it's
still
too static.
art. Yeah.
That's
it's less that it's too static and that there's not enough of it for me.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I wanted to see more of
More
that
of the
world.
world.
There's
yeah.
so much great art in these other 3 games that, you know.
Here's the-
Most looking game.
Yeah.
As not wowed as I was by Destiny 2, like I can't be mad if everyone else felt much more strongly about it. Like I think Pyre probably belongs on this list, but I'm not gonna I'm definitely not gonna plan a stake for that one.
I feel
We
like
can have them both.
I think Pyre is beautiful.
at this point I could see Pyre or Horizon. Like I'm not.
Right.
I could go either way on that.
I just think Horizon is a very technically impressive thing, and I do think there is like actual like art style merit to it. You know, like there are things about the character design in that game and certain elements of it I don't dig, but like it felt like the whole time I was playing it, I felt like this seems like an achievement, like what they have actually done here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were right about that. The DLC. That you brought it up. That snow was really impressive.
Yeah.
Like, I watched some gameplay from that. It looks really good.
Yeah, stuff like that giant spider thing on the snowy mountain. I mean, that was before the DLC, too. Like, there's some really cool visuals in that.
I could see us cutting Pyre.
Yeah.
Pyre is
It's
looks so
it's really
good
gorgeous.
top to bottom. It is a beautiful game. Like the
just
menu
not
system
enough.
is beautiful. It's cohesive.
Yeah, it is.
It
I
looks
liked-
so nice.
I liked looking at the sports. Like that's the thing I was like expecting not to really be wowed by in any way, but like I enjoyed watching that stuff play out.
It's got a worm's knight uniform, like he's dressed up like a knight. The worm's got his knight.
He's a worm knight.
He's a worm knight.
He doesn't have arms.
Yeah, well,
He's a worm.
That's how amazing the
Somebody
art
should
is.
tell him.
That's how amazing. That's how creative they had to
You
get.
can't hold a sword, worm. You're no knight.
That one guy's a dog.
The one that's a dog who gets to
got a
shave the
mustache.
who gets to shave it off.
That mustache is dynamic. It can either be on or off.
You do have mustache options in that game.
Well,
it's
I
true.
mean,
man,
then we
best-
need to put Super Mario back
Best
on here.
best style
Yes.
exists for a reason.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Pyre would fit for style more so, maybe.
I do think it is like a visually impressive game.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. But I mean, if people aren't feeling it, then that
I
is
don't
what
know.
it is. But I think it's such a good looking game.
I went into this category thinking Horizon could win it, and now the more I think about it, I don't know.
I do think Horizon is a very good looking game. I think there's a lot that looks really, really beautiful in Horizon. But I do think, there are arguments against some of the sort of animal designs. And I also think, like, I didn't look at that game and be like, I have never seen a game like this before in the same way I do with something
Right.
like Pyre.
That's kind of how I feel about Destiny.
Yeah, and I think that's fair.
Like a little like generic sci-fi.
Right. I would maybe.
No way. Generic, really?
I think Destiny has so many cool parts and it looks really cool, but I do think there's an argument there too that's like, we had Destiny 1.
Fucking a quarter of the enemies in Destiny are space wolf bugs. Like that does not come off as generic
I think
to
just
me.
everything's been done in sci-fi, so
Yeah, there's a lot of
guess.
sci-fi stuff.
And I think that's always been my issue with Destiny's like character and enemy design is that it feels very much like we need to have these specific classifications of enemies because this is a video game and we want to just hit these types.
No, I
And that's what they feel like to me as
I don't
types.
feel that at all.
Oh, really?
I don't
Yeah.
think those are types.
Yeah, totally.
You
Dude.
got like
Types.
Centurion like thugs,
Like
right?
types is like StarCraft aping 40K.
Yeah.
Like this is not that.
You all right? So
Like,
you got
this
the
is-
Centurion thugs, right? The Roman Legion guys, right?
Yeah, okay,
The Imperialists. You got the Vex, who are like kind of the spindly,
skittering bug
weaker
type
but faster,
assholes.
right?
Wait, that's the
Vex, the robots.
Fallen. The Vex are
Fallen.
Fallen.
Oh, yeah, the Fallen are the guys like that crawl around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
no,
Fallen
yeah,
Vex
more like
are
the Egyptian
skittering
robots.
Yeah, the
yeah.
robots. That's what I'm saying. They're the Vex are the robots, right?
Vex
Yeah.
smoke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right,
they're not-
and they're. I feel like they're kind of like lighter armored. Like you get more of them because they go down easier. You shoot them in the stomach,
Sure.
they explode. You get the energy beings, right? That are the fallen, right? Those are the guys
Taken.
who come.
Those are the Taken,
right?
Taken.
Fallen
yeah.
or bugs.
And then the Fallens are like the humanoid esque ones that because there are no other humans really you're
Yeah.
and then Cabal
And
are
then
the big
Hive are
brutes.
your big bugs.
Yeah.
fighting. Yeah,
But I mean, I don't know. if you're criticizing
think you
the
have some
enemies for being
archetypes.
humanoid, like for just
No, I'm
every
just saying
every video game.
No, I'm
is
just saying that
qualified.
I think the archetypes are there for the types of
the archetypes were there, and they just have never struck me in a way that like made me think like this is really cool that I'm fighting these things.
And that's all the stuff that was from Destiny 1. Like, of the stuff that they yanked over from 1 to 2, like, the enemy designs are, almost exclusively...
But like the
the same.
worlds,
The world,
It's the world design for me in that game.
like that first
does it.
base before you get to like the real base, I think is so cool looking, where it's like grassy and like
Yeah.
but like
And you see the Traveler Shard in the
that
background.
one strike where like there's a like satanic gate in the floor and you have to open it up and descend down, like, and the green energy is like spewing out.
Yeah.
Man.
See, if you're
I'm
fighting
not saying-
Satan in that game,
I'm not saying it's like a bad looking game by any means. It's just in terms of like stuff that the contrast in Horizon Zero Dawn of technology and kind of like post apocalyptic reversion back to I don't know, what would you call that era? Like the mix of technology and primalism.
kind of tribal.
Yeah, versus in like Destiny 2 is a little more your standard sci-fi, like polished up.
I don't know if I can get on board with that. I think that like
Pretty sci-fi.
I think that the
spaceships and
the mix of like sci-fi tech and mysticism in Destiny is
Yeah.
actually fairly unique.
Now you gotta play some Warhammer, man. You gotta rub some.
There
Everything is
are a
Warhammer
lot of
when you get down to
rituals
it.
you are fucking up in that game.
You gotta
are
rub-
definitely showing up to stop the space bugs from opening fucking hell portals.
Sure,
and
but like
stuff.
that is like the,
Yeah,
the,
no,
the
I'm not saying
tagline
that's
on
like
Warhammer.
I'm not saying that's like
of like
a
chaos
brand new
coming
thing.
through. Rub some oil on your computer so it works, kind of thing.
they definitely like Warhammer.
They don't have the bulky stuff, but like
I mean, dude, that guy that you're fighting in that
That's- yeah,
campaign,
that's
that
true.
is the bulkiest
Cabal
fucking
in
guy.
Destiny is
You're
definitely
absolutely
your
right, yeah.
Warhammer.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, listen, it's a just saying that in terms of like my Horizon Zero Dawn versus Destiny 2 preference of like, oh, okay, this struck me more than the Destiny 2 stuff. I like a lot of the sleek nature of Destiny 2. Like it's a clean design on a lot of the what do they call your people? Destineers, the
Destineers.
Guardians.
Yeah.
Guardians. Yeah, like there's a lot of
Like,
like
that's the stuff I like about it.
yeah,
me
there's
too.
a,
Is like
a lot of
the
stuff that
look of
reminds
the-
me of Mass Effect.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's,
Yeah.
there are guns that you look at and go like, man,
Yeah.
I bet Shepard would hold a gun like that really
that's,
well.
That's
Yeah.
why I used Surus Regime for all of Destiny 1
Yeah.
because it looked like a
There are a lot of
Mass Effect gun.
helmets that are like totally impractical. I don't know how you see out of them, but they look sleek
Yeah,
and cool.
There's like
There's
good
no-
looking helmets where
yeah.
you're like, I bet a Halo man would wear a helmet like that.
I remember the first time I got on a Sparrow in Destiny 2 and be like, that's a pod racer sound. What are you doing? But also that looks cool when you like straddle it and then like a horse and then just go off.
Pod racers are pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I would be okay understanding I understand the arguments for Destiny 2 and would be okay if Pyre went, but I think Pyre is a better looking game than Destiny 2, but I hear the arguments with maybe not enough in there. If you tire of you kind of can see most of that stuff early on in
Sure.
Pyre, but I still think it's really
But
good.
it still
That-
looks
that was-
it's still really good.
beautiful.
That was
Like,
that was my question: is if there was more to see.
I mean, you
later.
get new characters throughout the game.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
unlock the other. Well, you kind of unlock most of the maps.
Yeah, I think like I said, I want to see more of that world visually represented than I do.
I really do like in Pyre. There's the renditions of like I forget what they are, like the old gods that were like dead on the maps. That the old
Oh yeah.
and like you got like the skeletal structures of these like old gods that you, like where the battle the rites take place. I think is really neat.
There's a little bit of like Banner Saga in the way
Yeah.
that stuff is sort of presented.
I think like the celestial map stuff looks incredible. Like a lot of
Yeah.
the like the motion graphics after some of the rights or the sports matches or whatever, just the way that fucking like purple and yellow flames happen and sparklies everywhere, like all that
Like a lot
stuff
of the
is
stained
really,
glass stuff. I think
all that stuff looks fantastic.
Would it
Like
be
I just wish there was more of it.
Would it be
basically.
beneficial to just do a non-binding go around the room and just like what 3 would you pick?
Or just which one do you
Which
drop?
one would you drop?
Yeah, which one would you drop?
Yeah.
Okay.
out of these three?
Out of 4.
Out of 4. Well,
four.
no one's picking Cuphead.
I'm guessing nobody wants to Cuphead here.
No, Cuphead
Does
is not
anybody
going
want to
anywhere.
cut Cuphead from this list?
No.
No, thank you.
That's
No.
winning. That's winning.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Why don't we start with Jason?
Jason.
What we're cutting?
Yeah. What are you cutting?
As beautiful as Pyre is, I think I might cut that one just because everybody is. I think my personal pick would be to keep Pyre on, but I think everybody's made such a really strong case for Destiny. I think we cut Pyre.
I cut Destiny.
I cut Destiny.
I might cut Horizon.
Yeah, I'm really torn. I could go either way on Pyre or Horizon, I think.
Like the margins between those 3 games are so slim, I could cut any one of them and be okay, honestly. Like I think there are strong arguments for each one. Like
the exact same boat as you two.
Can we have 3 runner-ups?
No, we got to cut one.
Okay. Okay, so you picked Horizon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brad,
I'm not sure.
we can come back to you.
Okay.
I'll say Horizon.
Pyre.
I'll say Horizon.
It sounds like
Didn't accomplish much.
3 Horizon,
2 Pyre.
2 Pyre,
That- I mean,
2 Destiny.
2 Destiny.
Not really
I
a
mean,
good
again, this is
census.
non-binding.
Yeah.
This is
There
just
you
to
go,
see where
Brad.
we're at.
Just a
Shit.
feel of the room.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't want to be in this position.
Great, Brad.
Well, it's all up to you now.
I mean, it doesn't have to come down to a vote, you know.
Yeah, I know.
It's usually about whoever can argue.
Oh, sure, but if it
Whoever can-
theoretically did, you would vote for.
I feel like
Whoever can argue harder.
No, I feel like that's the thing is like we all have like pretty strong cases for all 3 of these games.
And I feel like we all like all 4 of these.
Yeah,
Yeah,
None,
for
none
sure.
of these are bad-looking games
it
at all.
goes without saying. Man, I don't know.
I could see Destiny getting cut. I could see Horizon getting cut.
Yeah.
Like,
If I'm ranking them, I think Pyre stays on, and then for me it's a coin toss between Destiny and Horizon, I guess.
Yeah.
there are things about Horizon I would nitpick that I can't nitpick about Destiny.
So you think you would go Horizon?
Man, I don't know.
Think about that purple goop.
I definitely. I think Cuphead and Destiny are on.
Oh
the list.
man,
Think about those beautiful landscapes in Horizon.
think
man.
about those like giant like satellite dish giraffe things that are running around in Horizon.
Yeah, those things are climbing. Those things looks incredible. I mean, yeah.
It's a really good looking game.
I guess.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I guess maybe one thing I would say, since we cut a lot of games for looking like the games before it, is that a reason to cut Destiny 2?
I think you could make that case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I like Destiny, and I think I prefer Destiny over Horizon, but I appreciate that Horizon is a beautiful game.
Yeah.
And, like, if we're cutting Uncharted and all these other games, Forza, which is a beautiful game.
Yeah.
Because
For me, it is like that the enemies in Destiny are
Right.
identical to what they were in the
I
first game.
think the difference for that
and-
one is the environments are like environments from Forza 6 to Forza 7 are very similar. The
Right,
the
yeah.
environments
Destiny's-
from
yeah, it's all new.
Uncharted 4 to Lost Legacy
They're just like
is-
different ruins, but still kind of ruins.
Yeah.
But
That's
this
fair.
is like
Yeah.
I mean, it's not completely different. It's still weird alien planets, but it feels
like yes, they brought the Cabal back, but then when you go do the raid, it's a fucking gilded space pleasure palace. Like, who saw that
Yeah.
coming?
I mean,
You know,
I-
they do so
yeah.
many
Feels-
weird
Yeah.
things
it
with.
feels so much more rich than the
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe this isn't something that would actually factor into it, but I'm constantly amazed that Horizon came out of Guerrilla, a studio that's mostly known for making the grayest shooters you've ever fucking
So
played.
the thing I was holding back on nitpicking is I think parts of the color palette in that game are super drab, and I'm playing through it right now. Like
In Horizon?
spent 20 hours
Yeah.
in that game over the last couple weeks, and there are parts of the outdoor environments, not that one, like it's not the
Yeah.
whole game, but in spots that game looks really muted in a way.
There are
that,
parts of that world where you're just like, what, you know, boy, I wish fast travel was free because
Yeah,
I don't want to
yeah.
be here anymore.
Yeah.
They don't really populate it with things
Yes.
like
Yes.
off in the distance that you want to go explore.
which is kind of the Mario issue.
There are 800 icons on that map, but yeah, I actually hit the realization last night that I was like, there's not actually a lot out here. It's just a lot of random animals, and like I should just be skipping this.
Yeah, but sometimes I felt that way about Destiny, like
Yeah.
on Earth and
Oh,
stuff,
man,
where it's
yeah.
just like I'm hanging out here. If I hang out here long enough, a Cabal thing's just going to squish me anyway because the public quest is going to start over. Like, you know, it's like the variety in Destiny once you've seen the planets, and like not even counting the raid because like that's also gated off on like some high level stuff. You know, like I never even got to see what you guys are talking about
Yeah.
except in the video. You know, you've kind of seen it. Like I don't think like I could probably name the different planets and what they look like, but I'd probably get confused on one or two.
Yeah, I would too.
Is that a product of it being a game that you just play again and again and again for hours at a time, or is that a product of the design?
I'm saying the design of the planets is like a little too similar. Right?
And the
Probably
design
get
of
them
like how they
confused.
where they place their quests and stuff,
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, now I'm going back to this area and doing more things in this zone that I've already spent a lot of time in,
Yeah,
and I
that's
already
fair.
know what it looks like.
And you get the same enemies on every planet.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's maybe yeah.
I just at no point during Destiny 2 did I sit there and feel like, yeah, I want to hang out in this world. Like I want to luxuriate in what's going on around me.
Because you didn't have a sick ramen bowl animation.
I did. I have that animation.
Well, you should equip it.
I did.
I could see Destiny going. I think the knocks against Destiny are that the enemies are yanked out of the previous game, and I think some of those public zones are just you're made to spend a little too much time there, and I think some of them wear out their welcome visually.
I'd be willing to drop Destiny.
Best skyboxes
I'm not.
in the business.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. I love
sun
the look of
part,
Destiny,
man.
Dude, that sun part is one of the most awe-inspiring things I have
and that's
ever
the thing it's
seen in
cut
a
with.
game.
Is, yeah, you're right. Like there are things during like the actual story progression. It's easy to forget because you do that stuff once and never think about it ever again.
To a fault, yeah.
But yeah, there are moments in that campaign that look really incredible.
Yeah,
the
how
last
come
boss fight, definitely not one of them.
How come that part is not in a strike? They should put the strike on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really cool.
I guess it would be hard to justify, like story-wise, why you would go back to that place.
It's Mercury, isn't it?
Hey,
that's on like a little
here's the
space
thing: it'd be
station.
really easy to do it because nobody would care.
Yeah, you're right.
I feel like another thing for Destiny is that it's so much about looks. Like so much of the motivation for the game is like, I want my character to look cooler.
The
I want
menus are
new
really
stuff.
pretty. Like everything
Yes.
everything around Destiny is incredibly pretty.
Right. The guns all look specific.
I think the
and-
interactions with the vendors look really nice in this game.
Yeah.
Like how they like half the frame is like all depth of fielded and the fonts are really nice.
My
Like,
warlock was incredibly pretty.
it's
She had
incredibly
really good hair.
like
Yes.
polished, like a
Yeah.
polished thing.
Just it's a good looking game.
I will say that the menus in Horizon are not super great,
No, they're not.
No.
but it's got a good photo mode because it looks really good.
You know what? Photo modes do zero for me. I wish they did.
I'm
I
with
wish
you.
they
I
did
love
because I
them.
look at them and go like, "This is cool," but I'm like, man, I could be finishing this game and playing something else though too. Maybe I just haven't found the game yet where there's been
Uncharted
stuff
Lost
in it.
Legacy's photo mode lets you make the character go
I
Yeah.
know.
in the middle
it's
of
so
the photo.
fun.
So like that's,
There's that Watch Dogs 2 one was just kind of dumb. The
Yeah.
photo
Oh,
mode
yeah.
very dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to make a cut.
Should we do a vote that counts?
I don't think we can.
also, after like 20 patches, there's still like a bug or a weird idiosyncrasy in Horizon where when you spin the camera, like massive amounts of the lighting like pop in and out.
Jeez.
Like still
I haven't seen that.
after like 8 or 10 months of release, like all you have to do is spin the camera in like any outdoor area, and like massive amounts of sunlight will just like pop in and out. Unless I'm having a crazy bug that nobody else has ever seen.
I don't remember that, but it has been a while since I booted that game.
But
up.
it's like endemic across the outside part of that game, and I think it's super ugly.
I feel like if I got a really nice new TV and I was having people over and I wanted to go, hey, check out this really good looking game, the last one with a bullet would be Pyre.
Really?
Yeah, even,
All three of
even
these other
Cuphead.
ones are like, holy
Yeah.
shit, you know?
They would be like, wow, that's some really good art.
Exactly. Not like, this looks amazing.
I guess it just for me, like I when I think of Destiny 2, I don't think of it as like a showpiece. I think of it as a really good looking game, but like it's not a thing that pops for me that way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would not show maybe that sun part, but I don't think I would be like, you
Destiny?
need to look at Destiny. Like, it's,
Yeah, I don't
it
think
looks
I-
really good.
Besides,
I would pick that over Pyre.
if you go to that sun part,
I
you have
would
to fight
also
that boss
pick
again.
Destiny.
Guys, you got to level up your lights so we can go check out that raid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where all
That's
Raid
what
does
I would
look
do.
good.
You gotta
I
see
don't-
that goop.
Yep.
Destiny is a game about looks. Like I don't think it's a showpiece in the same way that the first three are, but I think it is a game about looks. It's a game about looking good.
Yes.
And maybe that I don't know. I don't think it qualifies it for best style necessarily. I think it's just
Yeah.
a good looking game.
Yeah.
It's really elegant in a way.
Yeah.
It really is.
Right.
It's,
Maybe a little
it's
too
polished.
elegant.
No.
Clean to the point where like some parts of it are maybe a little sterile, but I actually
Sure.
like that
Yeah.
about Destiny.
Yeah.
I think that like
I like that in my
it's got
space
that
games
clean
once in a
sci-fi
while.
Yeah.
space look
Yeah.
that I do like.
I think Pyre, for what it is incredible. I agree with Brad. I got, seeing a character's design for the first time, really fucking cool. Every time you see it after that, it's kind of the same thing.
Sometimes they smile. Sometimes they frown.
For what it's worth, I will live if Pyre does not make it. It is a pick that I would absolutely make for the top three of this list. But if everyone else feels strongly about the other ones, I can live with it.
I mean,
I will say I don't much care for the look of that dog.
Oh, really?
Mustache or no?
Well, then you
mustache.
send him home first.
A rookie?
Rookie Greentail.
I don't know. Pyre, I just feel like Pyre does something new in the way that the other two don't really.
Yeah,
as much.
I think Pyre's more inspiring.
Yeah.
and inspired maybe than Destiny 2. Maybe Destiny 1 is a different tale because Destiny 1.
I just can't agree. Like they just.
Well, I'm saying Destiny 1 is that
them,
ground.
Yeah, they're.
But that's what I mean. They do so much with even the stuff they bring back. Like they change the settings so much.
Really?
Like, yeah, of course the enemies are going to look the same. Like that's
I think the issue is not so much that they're the same; it's that I didn't like a lot of those enemy designs in the first game, and they have not. They do not wow me in this one either.
Yeah, like in some ways, this could have been their opportunity to actually like reshape the Taken into something that didn't just look like existing enemies reskinned.
Yeah,
and they didn't even do that.
that's true.
That was like my main problem with the Taken King.
Are we dropping Destiny?
if you guys try to cut Destiny, we're going to be here all night. How about that?
What?
Wait a minute.
I think I think you people are crazy.
I agree.
After all
I
the
agree.
conversations we've had about
I
Destiny,
think Destiny is
I'm
the
with you,
second
Brad.
best
in
looking
this
game
room,
of this year.
in this room, I think it is crazy that you are now talking about cutting it.
I'm with you, Brad.
I'm okay with Pyre going if people feel that strongly about Destiny 2. I feel more strongly about Cuphead and Horizon.
I would be so bummed to lose Pyre. I think it's a beautiful game. I think like that is what it is it is its design, and it's like it's so cohesive. It looks so good. But I mean, I don't want to stay here all night. Like whatever.
Just
For
left
me,
me
like
wanting more.
the margins between the three games are so slim that
Yeah.
it's hard for me to pick one, or it's hard for me to even like feel necessarily like married to any of the three either. Like I don't know that I have a real dog in this fight, but I will say that like the lack of variety in the art, I think, is a pretty strong argument in the case of Pyre.
Yeah.
For me, I think the argument against Destiny 2 is that a lot of it is pulled, the enemy stuff from Destiny 1, I think, is disappointing.
I'm getting the impression nobody's super passionate about Horizon. Everyone's like,
I feel pretty passionate.
This is the category I believe in Horizon 4.
okay, well then we okay. I
think
thought
we
you were
keep
more
Horizon.
in Pyre. Sorry.
Well, no, I'm saying I believe in Horizon and I believe in Pyre.
Okay.
Like I think there isn't much else about Horizon that I feel strongly about calling out in these categories
Yeah.
for this year, but like visually, I think that is the thing it deserves to be rewarded for.
I think it's got a really good story and really good characters.
I think it has a good backstory. Granted, I have not finished that game, but I just this to me was the thing that always stood the most out about it.
Sure.
So we'll cut Pyre.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
Stuff,
I'm not
good
happy
stuff.
about it, and this is the kind of thing that's just going to happen. But
Yeah.
like,
I would much rather have any piece of artwork from Pyre up on a wall than
Yeah.
Destiny 2.
same.
They have a sale on their merch store right now, actually.
So like, yeah, I think the Destiny 2 stuff is neat and looks good, but I definitely think the Pyre stuff is more inspiring and
Yeah, and just newer.
newer
They
and-
do new things.
yeah. This is a very subjective.
Yeah,
I think
and at some
Destiny
point it's
does
like
a
it's-
lot of new stuff too. Though.
And at some point we're kind of talking about like art versus like art in the context of games. Like, yeah, of course, like of those things, I would certainly
I would take a pirate print over a
Pyre
Cuphead
print over, yeah.
A what?
a Cuphead print. Like I think the like if you're taking single frames from games, Pyre's going to have the best stuff. But that's also the problem with the game is
I mean, the
I
art
guess-
is very focused on
Yes.
single frames.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
But then there also aren't that many single frames.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But I don't even mean like that. I mean, I think it works with what they're doing too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I totally agree.
I think Destiny 2 would look really silly if the vendors were still frames
Right.
and with text underneath them, right? But it works in Pyre.
Right.
Like they make it work. Same thing.
Yeah.
If Cuphead were just a still frame of Mugman moving around shooting a bullet, like it wouldn't be that fun.
Right.
It would lose it.
Still be pretty cool though.
I think you might be like, well, I don't know, you guys, if you guys nailed this.
This
one.
is a weird choice, but okay.
Whereas I think you look at that stuff as a still frame in Pyre, and you're like, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Like it all works, and like this game is still enjoyable. It doesn't look like you. It doesn't look like this was accidental, right?
Right.
Like this was a
Yeah.
deliberate
Yes.
choice,
Yeah.
and it works. But like, hey, people don't like good
Yeah.
art. That's fine.
I guess also one
I
more
like cool
thing
art.
Okay.
Not good art.
Yeah.
about Pyre.
We'll say Destiny 2 is kind of cool art.
Yeah. It kind of
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think all of these are cool art, but I do think Horizon and Destiny are definitely, well, Horizon especially is definitely like a technological achievement in the way that the others aren't as much. which I think, personally, I prefer a game like Pyre, which in 5 years will still look very good. In 5 years, Horizon will look fine, but the technology is going to be so improved that it's not going to hold up in the same way.
But that's not the category.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well,
but as far as
It's
like,
part of the category.
The category isn't like
games.
what's going to age the best. It's what looks the best right now.
But if she thinks that there's not strong art design in that game, that's a big knock against it, which I kind of agree with on some level.
I like the design of the
Like-
robots.
It's not bad.
You like Transformers.
I do like Transformers. Yeah.
See, I don't like Transformers that much, but I do think that Horizon does its thing very well.
Again, I'm maybe halfway through it or something, but like there's not a lot that sticks out in my memory of playing that game as being like, wow, that really knocked my socks off, which all of these other games did at some point.
all right. I mean, I'd lose Pyre. I think it's a bummer, but I'd lose it.
Oh,
Like I said, I'll live.
I thought we were okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'd rather lose Horizon, but
I thought that's what we were moving
Same.
toward.
I don't know.
Horizon
I
looks
feel
so
like
Yeah,
I feel like we're gonna go in
can't.
circles on Horizon.
I feel
Sounds
so
like,
good.
sounds like Pyre then.
Yeah.
But what about Destiny?
Well, we
I
can't-
think
we can't-
Destiny is a game about looking good.
Yeah.
I think,
And I don't think it
And I'm
always
about
nails
looking
that.
good, so I like Destiny.
I
too.
think it nails
Yeah,
it at like 90%, and that 90% is way more than Horizon and Pyre.
for Destiny.
Like I think back on just the sheer raw visual creativity in that game, and like there are just endless examples of
I like a lot of the graphic design elements of like the logos.
the gun
and-
company
yeah,
logos.
Yeah, gun company logos, and just like the
Factions.
faction logos and a lot of the different icons that drop and stuff like that. Like it almost reminds me of like the Designer Republic work in Wipeout.
Sure.
Goth Peter Stormare.
I like that less.
Yeah.
so.
Cuphead, Horizon, and Destiny 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, what a bummer, but sure.
Hey, instead of thinking about it being a bummer, let's just talk about how good Cuphead is now for like
Yeah.
a
Perfect.
minute.
I know.
It's so good.
We
Yeah.
came to a consensus immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
Right, the battle
I
for
don't-
2 and 3.
I
was
know
really-
we're just basically battling on the runner-ups.
I mean, that happens here.
That is exactly how this always goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's the thing is that Cuphead was the immediate striking. Like, of course this is on
Yes.
here, so of course it
Yeah.
wins.
Holy
There's
crap,
no
that game
question
looks
at all.
So good.
I just can't think of a bad thing about the look of Cuphead.
The first time I went to play that game, I grabbed my girlfriend. I was like, "You have to see this because there's never been a game that looks like this." And she
No.
was like, "Really? Come on! Like, what are you talking about? Like,
really
that's not
hasn't.
possible." And then she sat down and looked at it, and immediately was like, "Oh, wow!"
I think the only knock I would give Cuphead, and this kind of is only tangential to this category, is sometimes I think the animation can get in the way of the gameplay in terms of a visual feedback kind of way of like.
Yeah, so here's to that point. Vinny and I were playing a little bit of co-op last night, and the moments where I was dead, I was getting to like really look at like the backgrounds and stuff, and like really take in stuff that I never saw in my solo playthrough of the game, like just details and stuff. Like it was getting lost because the action is so frantic. But I don't think that's like. I mean,
Well, I just mean more in terms of like, am I doing damage during this phase of boss?
Oh, you mean that.
They,
Yeah,
like,
okay,
things
okay.
don't react
Like
because
feedback.
Yeah,
weren't animated too.
exactly. Like, am I doing damage here? How much damage am I doing? Because, like, they keep in their animation cycles.
Yeah.
There's not like a hit animation or anything like that.
Right.
There's,
I
a,
can-
there's a
I can
blink
see it.
sometimes.
I don't mind
I
that
can
that
see
much.
that.
I don't mind
but
it.
think
Yeah,
it's fair.
yeah. I think it's just one
It's
of
the
the
tiniest knock.
I'm trying to look for
Yeah.
any
Right.
critical
Really scraping the
wart on
barrel.
there.
Yeah, I misunderstood. I thought you were saying like stuff gets lost, which it does because you're so focused in on the action because it's such a challenging game. But like, if you were to watch just gameplay of it, you
Yeah.
can take
It's
that
amazing.
all in. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
It is
incredible.
stunning. It is
Yes.
a visually stunning game that I think nails it across the board,
Yes.
and is an achievement that is unbelievable. Like I really did. It's still kind of shocking to be able to play that.
Yeah.
I can't
That
think of the
it
last
works,
time I
yeah.
felt so like wowed at looking at just the visuals of the game. Just immediately, like, holy shit! And like it doesn't wear off. Like every new boss, like, oh, look at the way this guy animates. Look at this thing.
It could have been an easy visual gimmick, you know.
Yeah, and it plays really
You know.
good too.
But yeah, it carries strong throughout the entire game.
Truly.
And,
I was a
like
little-
animation, and they nail it with the sound. We'll talk about the soundtrack
Yeah, like
later.
the menus.
I was a
and
little
the store
disappointed
and-
with Death, or not Death, Satan. I thought like I was
like
expecting
that.
more transformations and stuff. I was expecting just more for like the devil, but it's
I
a
love
little,
the huge eyes when he starts crying like blood and stuff. Like that part's cool.
It's cool,
you know,
but I
the-
was expecting a
The
little.
devil doesn't need flourishes, man. The devil knows what it is.
but he's in the
Secure in himself.
details.
that is true. Well, the details are still pretty good.
So have we figured out what we're gonna cut?
Actually, yeah, I'm still not clear.
I thought we were on fire.
I thought we had agreed. Yeah.
I thought it was Cuphead, Horizon, and Destiny 2
Yeah.
with
Right.
Cuphead taking it.
Alex, what would you cut between Horizon and Pyre? No, I'm just asking because he seemed like very conflicted on both of those games. So
Oh
I'm just
God.
like-
Well, I mean, that's the thing is that isn't the one I would cut of the other two.
Let's-
But like, let's say that is the option.
Yeah.
Though.
Theoretically.
I mean, I think I give the very slight lean to Horizon just because of that being the thing I remember most about playing that game.
Yeah.
I mean, Pyre, like I like for a lot of different reasons, but Horizon immediately stood out to me in that regard, and I think it's worth a nod. I think it absolutely is.
I like it in Cuphead when the devil rips his skin off and then the skeleton jumps down into hell.
Okay.
It's like a scorpion
That has nothing to do with the game. That's just something Dan
I
likes.
put that in coolest moment.
It was really cool.
I really like that stage play we played yesterday, Ben, where like there's an actual like narrative going on
Oh,
of this
really?
like a woman getting married, then like having kids, and then like you kill her and she becomes like an angel, and like
And then she's doing her like encore at the end, and people are throwing roses.
throwing roses,
Oh,
and like
that's so. Oh, this game is so fucking good.
yeah.
Just want to look at pictures of it.
There are so many ways that game could have disappointed, and it didn't at all.
All right. So
It's just too easy.
that's Cuphead, Horizon, and Destiny 2.
Man, that's
I can
a
live.
shame.
I can live with that.
That's not where I thought that category was going to go.
Ugh,
But yeah, okay.
man, that's truly bonkers.
Destiny
to
2
me,
is
but
just
that's
sneaking
fine.
on a list.
Destiny 2 is very good,
Sneak nothing.
but
Destiny 2
Claiming a spot.
came correct for this category.
I hate that.
I love that level.
I mean, yeah, I love
clown
it. but I
roller
hate
coaster?
him.
It's
oh, that's
great.
so good.
I hate him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, that's
There we go.
Day one.
Okay, I guess that's day one.
Oh, that was easy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally, also
Yeah.
just took a day
Yeah.
Well,
or most of it. All right. Excuse me. Day one is in the books for Game of the Year.
Just over there looking at more Cuphead porno.
No, I'm looking at screenshots, but then I found Funko Pop Cupheads.
all right. Well, then it loses.
Yeah.
No,
It has a
it's,
Funko
it's
Pop.
the first Funko Pop that's looked good.
Actually, yeah. It doesn't have the soulless black eyes.
Nice.
Brad, take us
Do you
home.
think? I don't know why I was sitting here debating this. Do you think there's any merit in mentioning the kind of or questionable origins of Cuphead's style at all?
the Fleischer art?
Yeah, like
I mean, look,
I'm not saying it's in any way a reason to disqualify it, but
the issue with that for me is that the developers have never really addressed where, like, the origins of that stuff, and it like there's nothing racist in the game.
no, you're absolutely right.
but
There's not.
yeah, like the
But
sort
it's
of
also kind of hard to deny.
yeah. And I think the thing is, we're talking about this purely from an aesthetic and technical perspective, and I think that for the thing they are going for, they nail it 100%.
Sure. Well, again, I'm not
And
trying
they
to.
toned back a little bit of it after like its reveal, right? I got the
They're
impression
like the
that
original Satan design had a little bit more of a caricature to it that definitely like had that initial reaction.
Yeah.
And some people have talked about like the jazz guy, like him being kind of a Cab Calloway stand-in
Yeah,
and that
that's,
kind of stuff.
that type of stuff in particular. There's a really good piece on Unwinnable if you want to look it up.
Yeah.
About this exact thing. That
I think there's
is
also
it's worth
very,
mentioning.
very,
Very thoughtful.
Yeah, also worth mentioning probably is like the cultural appropriation issues around Horizon and some
Oh,
of the,
yeah,
some of
absolutely.
the style and that stuff.
that was kind of what I
Yeah.
was alluding to when I said
yeah.
I had some issues with some of
I
the
heard the
character design
DLC
stuff.
is even worse in that regard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the Cuphead stuff in particular sat with me a little bit.
I
Weird
think it's
because
interesting
it is sort of cherry picking like the acceptable aesthetic elements and not necessarily
well, I don't
recognizing
know if you would
the
necessarily.
the kind of fraught cultural ones. But I mean,
I
I'm
think,
not
like,
again. I'm
that's-
not saying like it
yeah.
shouldn't win.
But what would you? Yeah.
I
It's
would
interesting,
just, I would,
like when they came in and we interviewed them and talked to them about that style, them kind of saying like we saw the style and liked it and got into it and started making it makes me think that they maybe didn't even realize
Yeah, it's
that
it's
history
possible.
until they were already deep into it and were like,
The interviews I've seen with them about it made it seem very much like that was just not a consideration, really,
Yeah,
when they
it's
were going
possible.
for it.
Yeah.
Right.
I hear though that stuff is very linked to
Sort of, yeah.
absolutely.
Especially,
overt
if-
racism. And
yeah, and it's not just Fleischer. Like you go back and look at some of the wartime
propaganda
some of the
movies.
wartime Warner Brothers stuff. Is
Even some of the Disney
sure.
stuff, yeah, for
incredibly
sure. Yeah,
off-putting,
absolutely.
And it's just like, wow,
Yes, I mean, listen,
there's an
Bugs
aspect.
Bunny
There
has
is
been there, and
like there is an
Daffy
aspect
Duck
to
has
this
been
form
there.
that people don't think about a lot these days. But
I think
I just thought it was worth mentioning.
the thing to recognize is that the origins of that stuff may have some deeply rooted racist issues in it, absolutely. And the fact that the developers didn't necessarily engage with that or even consider that when they were building this is unfortunate.
I don't even know if I'd go as far as to say they had an onus to do that.
I think at the very least, educating themselves on it to a degree so that they could talk about it, and sort of understand what they were pulling from when they were doing it is probably worthwhile. The thing is, though, that I don't think you can say that those that style of animation and cartoon is inherently just bad because of the racist
I'm not saying
origins of
that
it.
at all.
Yeah, you're just bringing it up too.
I'm just kind of acknowledging it.
Yeah.
I would say most art forms have some kind of horrible history to them.
Right.
If somebody's trying to make a movie look like something from the 60s or 70s, you are probably going to be tied to some kind of exploitation movie.
And again, as far as I know, there's nothing objectionable in Cuphead itself.
Right.
I just thought it was worth.
Yeah.
I think it's totally worth mentioning.
And that piece is worth reading if you're
I do think if we're going to talk about that, Horizon is maybe more problematic in the sense where it just sort of culturally appropriates native culture in a lot of ways.
It's a case where you could look at a storyline justification for that because of how how it is a culture built on top of what we think of as now modern culture. There's a reason why it gets there, but those are still people that chose to write that story that way.
Totally.
And they definitely didn't have to do that.
Right.
It's also very much a shotgun blast style pulling of stuff versus something that's more nuanced and actually kind of I wouldn't call it respectful necessarily. It's just very hey, we're just pulling all these different aesthetic elements from these different kinds of tribal cultures and just throwing them together kind of thing.
Right, which I think it makes it maybe worse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I think that the fact that it is so shotgunny that way is not great.
Right. Yeah.
I think that stuff is interesting to examine in a sensitivity to that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the robots look really cool.
Yeah,
It's true.
Wouldn't hang it on my wall.
All right. Day one. 2017's old game of the year is Mario Kart 8. Wait,
Woo!
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, can we reopen that one?
No.
Windjammers, Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim. Best Shopkeeper. God, wow, yeah, this was
Hours ago.
Emil from Nier Automata is the best shopkeeper of the year. Falcon Ron from Pyre and Pork Rind from Cuphead, rounding out the list.
Not Ron Falcon.
No.
PhD.
Definitely
Great
not.
Yelp reviews, though. Definitely.
Good.
Practice.
Good.
Mass Effect Andromeda was the most disappointing game. Need for Speed Payback, Star Wars Battlefront 2 also fairly disappointing.
EA presents.
And Cuphead is the best looking game with Horizon Zero Dawn and Destiny 2. Rounding out the list. That's right. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, truly.
That's how the
Remember
game.
Mario Kart.
I know.
That's
this is stinky.
That's how the game of the year is played. All right, that's it for day one. Come back tomorrow and every day this week.
And we've got guest lists up on the site.
That's right.
And all, some videos. And
Yeah,
some
all
other
kinds of stuff hitting the site
Someone throw a car at me. What the hell just happened?
throughout the week. It's getting punchy in here. Let's let this room air out a little bit. We'll be back tomorrow with more categories. See you then.